Oh my God, dude. We are back. Welcome to the greatest business show on the internet. This is Booze and Biz. My name is Nick Glassett, and tonight I'm going to drink a whole bunch of beers while we talk about whatever the hell it is that you guys want to talk about. I'm just excited to be back. I'm excited to be sitting in front of a camera talking to strangers on the internet about business and drinking beers together. So cheers. So if you did not already know this, Booze and Biz is brought to you by Magic Jump. They got all the Disney product. They got all the Star Wars stuff, the Avengers, obstacle courses, the Frozen bounce houses, all super great stuff, all stuff that you need. So go check them out at magicjump.com and tell them you heard about them and how cool they freaking are from yours truly. Cool. Go check out magicjump.com. So me personally, I had a very fun, wild, but unfortunately a very sad July. But all those emotions are a part of life. And all we can do is keep focused, press on, plan our next vacation, but make sure that every second you have the privilege to be able to send a text message to the people that you love, just make sure that you do it. You never have any idea when it's going to be the last contact you ever have with them. So cherish those moments, cherish that privilege and take advantage of it. I also wanted to take a second and say thanks so much to all the people that reached out to my family and I. It was great. We got cards, we got flowers, we got texts, we got all sorts of stuff. So thank you guys so much. And then I also want to say how awesome I thought it was that people were wondering where I was while I was away for so long. And then I was absolutely just fucking humbled, dude, of how many people actually knew where I was and knew what was going on and just kind of overall kind of had my back. It was incredible to read all those comments and kind of participate in that post and everything. So thank you guys all so very much. You are the reason I just do any of the stuff that I freaking do. So thank you guys. Okay, for tonight, I want to drink some beers. I want to hang out with you guys. I got my cooler right here. I have 4 Michelobs, not counting this one. So I got 5 Michelobs total. And then I think I got 2 Busch Lights and they have corn on the can. They're very strange. But anyways, I want to drink some beers with you guys. I want to hang out with you guys. I want to tell some stories. I want to answer some questions. I want to do all that stuff. So everyone, generally speaking, tends to kind of be shy on these shows. And I totally get it. Like if I was on the other side, I don't know that I'd be talking a whole bunch either. Okay. But that being said, like when you guys do talk, you make the show so much better. When you ask your questions and give your opinions, like it makes it really, really fun. So I promise you, there's no pressure whatsoever, A, to talk, or B, if you do talk. Like this is all just fun and games. Like it's no big deal. Okay. So real quick here, I'm going to kick the show off by kind of going on a miniature little rant here, but kind of addressing something that I've actually seen come up a whole freaking bunch that I didn't know existed. So recently, Brooke Trahan and I co-founded and launched a company called Raise Bookings, R-A-Z-E, Raise Bookings. Okay. So it's basically a bounce house booking service, soon to offer Christmas light support as well. Wink, wink. Okay. But the thing that we kind of have noticed a whole bunch since we launched that business, and now are taking on clients and hiring and doing all that fun stuff, is that a lot of entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, right, have made convenience moves, not thinking about scaling, right? So the lesson for this little rant is that you need to make moves that will scale, right? Will help you grow your business in the end, not moves that are easy, okay? Entrepreneurship is never easy, okay? So anytime you ever do something that's easy, what you've done is you've sacrificed convenience in the beginning, okay, today, and you've made your life like 10 times harder in sometimes a matter of months. Like it can be that quick how much a convenience move will ruin you later. All right. Here's a couple examples. Okay. And this is the main one that I've seen since we've launched Raise. Okay. So the example number 1 is, dude, don't use your personal cell phone for your business, man. Okay. When you do what you've actually done, right, in not going through all the painstaking process of getting a business phone number somehow, okay, it's easy to just put your iPhone number out there into the ethos and have people start texting you and calling you, right? Okay. But what you've actually now done is you've made yourself the secretary for the rest of your life, because all the business all exists on this device. And how are you going to move it off of this device? The longer you're in business on your personal cell phone, the harder it gets to get away from it. The only thing you have to do is go get a new cell phone and now have 2 cell phones because this phone number is ruined for life. Okay. You have made yourself the secretary for life if you have this as the number for your business, right? A call comes in and it's your grandma, and then the other line beeps and it's literally a client that needs to rent something from you. Okay. All those text messages that we get in the weird hours of the night, you don't know if it's coming from your buddy who just got taken to jail and needs to get bailed out, or if it's from a client that's just weird and texting you at midnight, right? So I get it. It's hard to figure out what to do with the phone. Okay. Here, I'm going to give you the answer here. All right. So I've got out in the world, there's lots of different answers to this problem. Okay. In the early days, I did some research. This is like 2018 probably. And I found that if you go with Google Voice, right? It's free. It's built by Google, so it works. It integrates with things. It's extremely easy to use. It's very versatile. Okay. And it works great, right? Kind of separates life a little bit, right? Yes, it's still on this device, which is convenient, but it lives in its own little app, right? So you're not getting text messages in the text message zone. You're getting them in the Google Voice zone. Okay. What happens after that is your business scales, right? So we literally still have our Google Voice phone number, right? The old school one. It's on some of my really old shirts and hoodies still. Okay. We have that number still. What I do, okay, in the early days, I used it for both the jump off and let's get lit. It just was everything, right? Because everything came to me, so it didn't matter. Okay. And then as the businesses grew, they now each have their own dedicated phone numbers. Okay. So the jump off's phone number is linked to our Event Hawk. Okay. So to high level, that's where its phone number is derived from. And then Let's Get Lit is a CRM called Jobber, Jobber, which will change your life if you're a Christmas light contractor. So if you want 2 months free, holler at me. I can get you 2 months free. But so they both have those phone numbers, right? But both of those phone numbers point to Google Voice still. All right. So we still have the same Google Voice. I'm still on like the free plan or whatever you call it. It's just like an app you download. Okay. Another example, okay, besides the phone number, besides you making yourself your secretary for life, okay, is that I read posts all the time in the Facebook group and then in comments of the new entrepreneurs that just started out of a new bounce house rental business, doing all sorts of insane things to try to make the experience great for their clients, okay, which is all good, okay, except they're in the comments like bragging about these things like, I do this, I put a mat down under every single entrance of every single bounce house at every single rental because I'm a badass. It's like, dude, you guys need to reel it in a little bit. All right. So just FYI, like if you're only doing that because you're so small, okay. If you're doing those kind of things and you have 4 bounce houses, okay, or like putting cones out, okay, over all of the anchors, or you fill your pool completely and like you wait for fucking 40 minutes to fill your pool until you leave, right? Whatever all those little goofy things are that you're doing, okay, you're only doing those things because you're so small, right? But the people that blow up every single slide and go inside the zippers and dry the bath halls every Wednesday, like you're doing too much, dude. You're doing too much. Okay. Now, yes, when you're small, you should be like a high touch concierge service, like a white glove type of feel. Okay. Be as high touch as possible. But what I'm saying in all this is that I'm just trying to get you guys to realize that you can't come tell seasoned, busy, large business entrepreneurs how cool you are, because we already did all that shit and then realized it doesn't scale and ditched it all. Right. So pick your things wisely. Think about it like this. If you have 4 bounce houses going out this weekend, you can do all sorts of crazy fun things, right? It's great. And people are going to love it. It's going to help you grow. Okay. If you have 4 trucks worth of bounce houses going out, you're not putting cones. You're not putting cones and bounce mats or land mats over all the entrance. Like you're not doing all that stuff. You can't send 96 soccer cones per truck. Okay. It's just not scalable. So the lesson here I'm trying to convey is instead look forward in time, okay, and pick whoever your idol is, okay? How big is their business and how much money do they make and how do they make it? Fantastic. reverse engineer that a little bit, take detailed notes, okay, and inject all your fun, cool, small stuff in that, okay? Your handwritten thank you notes, I used to do, okay? They help you grow, but you've got to realize you've got to adjust once, and you've got to slow that stuff down so you can scale, because you got to slow down the high touch stuff so the business can get bigger, right? So look ahead to the future, reverse engineer it all to cause growth in the short term, and then work your freaking face off to get there. But please, 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 please look forward and do things that are going to scale. Do things in a way that will allow you to scale, because then you can build your infrastructure as a small business and not have as many growth pains going forward. And then interject all of your unscalable behavior that will help actually cause the scale. Hope that makes sense. I feel like that came out kind of confusing. But anyways, that's the rant for tonight. That's it. That's the rant. So there you go. All right. So I am super freaking pumped and super happy to be back. Super happy to be back with you guys again. Super happy to be here on a Wednesday night, drinking some drinks. It's going to be badass. So if I can, I'm gonna kind of give you guys a little bit of an ask here. So I would love, it would mean a lot to me if we could do this. Okay, everybody that's on Zoom, I can see you. Obviously, I got to switch this. Everybody that's on Zoom, turn your calendar or your cameras on. Everybody that's not on Zoom, okay, there's 13 people on Facebook Live right now. So all 13 of you on Facebook Live, I want you to do this too, okay? But I want to get a big cheers from everybody. I want everybody to cheers the camera, okay? And it's gonna be super fun. All right. So turn your cameras on, get ready for cheers. Get your drinks. I don't care if it's a beer, if it's a liquor, if it's a bottle of water, dude. I don't really care. All right. So here's what I want to say. I want to give a toast to the community that we've all built together and how far we've come in such a short time in my experience. I look back and I look at now and where this industry was when I started and where it's at now. It just blows me away. I cannot wait until Wednesday, August 11th, 2025 to see where the hell we are up to then, because I plan on still doing Booze and Biz 2 years from now. Okay. How close we've all become to each other, how big all of our businesses are, all the fun freaking stuff that we've done as we scaled our businesses that much. So here's to you, here's to me, here's to all of us, and here is to our future. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Awesome. All right. So how's everybody doing tonight? Everybody's on mute still.
I'm doing great, Nick.
It's good to see you guys, man. It's good to see you guys. I was, not doing these shows. It's funny how difficult it is, I guess you could say, especially with a family, it is to do a weekly show, right? Like it's fun. And then it kind of is like, holy shit, I got to do this every single week. But then after I kind of get in the groove of it, like I'm good to go. And then having kind of like the withdrawals from it over the last 5 weeks has been interesting to me. So it's good. It's good to be back around everybody, man.
It's impossible you were having withdrawals. You were down in the ocean on a boat, digging lobsters, shooting stonefish or whatever that was called.
Hogfish.
Yeah, same thing. They have the same looking face.
Yeah, I found out, I learned the hard way that something I'm really, really, really bad at is spearfishing. That's the one thing I think I've ever literally had anxiety, attack. I had an anxiety attack. Spearfishing. That was intense for me.
Were you in South Florida at all?
No, just to fly through. We flew through Miami. We laid over in Miami, and then we flew to the Bahamas from there. Yeah, it was a good trip, man. But like I said, it was very humbling. It was very humbling. I don't know how to describe it other than I had a fear of the ocean, of the water. It was bizarre to me. It was so bizarre.
The ocean's a different creature, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll, bro. I'm athletic. I do all sorts of shit, and then get out there. I tested my mask in the pool, my fins and the whole nine. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. And then, dude, I get in the water and I was look down. It was take my breath away, and it was like fear of heights type of thing. It was bizarre. And I tried to get in the water for 2 days in a row, like over and over. It was like, dude, I'm like torturing myself. I got to stop. Third day, I didn't get in the water at all. And then fourth day, conquered it, was in the water all day. Fifth day, same thing. Like we're good now. But it was a whole thing. It was extraordinarily humbling.
Something that I know that really nobody else knows in here except for you, because you told me, is this is something you've been wanting to do and you haven't done it. And now the opportunity came, unfortunately, for the wrong timing probably in your life, but it was probably the best thing for you.
Yeah, it worked out good. It was tough to be there for the first couple of days with everything going on. Like I felt guilty, and was talking to my wife and everything, and she was, very headstrong, like shut up and go have fun, shut up and go have fun. So in the end, it definitely was a life-changing trip. So
I missed the first part of what you were saying because somebody wouldn't let me in the meeting. I had to send you a text message. So I have no idea what your beginning part of the meeting was, what your beginning comments were.
Basically, I opened it up by saying, don't start a business using your personal cell phone as the business line, because there's no way to ever get rid of it. Like it's got to be you for the rest of your life. And you can obviously change your phone number, right? But the longer you're in business with your personal cell phone being the phone number,
I have a landline.
there you go. Yeah, I have a good friend, good friends, right? They're a couple, but they own a big landscape company near me, and they switched to a landline. Angela had her, so I think she had her cell phone or whatever. And then I saw him, she's like, I switched to a landline, dude. Like it's in the other room. When I'm not in that room, I can't answer it because their office is out of their house. I'm like, a landline? She's like, oh, greatest thing ever. Like I can go to a softball game and nobody can get a hold of me.
50 total years of business with me, and I've had the same phone number, and I've had the same landline. It's the last thing I want is everybody calling my number. It's bad enough my painting clients all call me on it, and you have to sit there and look, fuck, and you don't want to answer it. Bounce house business right here, and call on this phone. Send me a chat through the chat widget on the website. It'll go to my cell phone. You don't have my number. But yeah, landlines I think are very important for a business starting out. And don't give your cell phone out, newbies. Don't do it because you'll regret it.
Yeah,
you literally will regret it. You'll have to ask every other person that calls, well, who is this again? Because you're not going to save every phone number in there, because before you know it, your phone's dead. You got to get another one. You buy another $6,000 phone or $500 phone, whatever the hell. That memory is going to run out too. So, but I didn't hear your whole terminology of starting the business. I caught part of what sounded like maybe try not to be so headstrong as far as the consistency cleaning and how you approach every job every time, and your overkill and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's so many things newbies do, including myself, including you. I mean, I think back to some of it. I used to give out yo-yo balloons. We used to make yo-yo balloons. I bought them at IAPA, and it was the coolest thing you could make. I mean, it cost me like not even a half of a nickel to make them. And you say, okay, you got 10 kids at the party, so it cost you what, 16 cents to give 10 yo-yo balloons at the party. And go, here's a yo-yo balloon for all the kids to play with. And it literally was a little balloon about like that big, had a half a cup of water in it and a rubber band that they could sit there and pound it back and forth. And then when I started seeing them becoming like elastic bombs, the kids were figuring out how to make it. Yeah, that was done with them. That was, but I did the same thing with the overkill of the final touch shine of the bounce house when you get to the job. And hell, I used to physically hand dry every unit on the job when I picked it up. Like I would come home with 200 wet towels at the end of the week or weekend. Yeah, that kind of, I saw the writing on the wall. That one's stupid. Looked real good. at the beginning, you're building your name up and it's getting out there. Oh man, they're a great company, but you will find all those little niches you guys you don't got it.
Yeah, and I think that like kind of the point I was making is they're great. Those things are all great as long as the client can kind of notice, so to speak. If you're doing things a client can't notice, like you're I hate to be this blunt, but you're wasting your time. But if you're doing things a client can notice, right? Like I literally used to write a handwritten thank you note. I made a 3x5 card. The front was like a jump off thing. Go to the website, book this, whatever. The back was blank, and I'd write a handwritten note in red pen, right, in red envelopes, and I would drop it in the mailbox on the way out from pickup, I believe. It was fantastic. It crushed. People absolutely flipped over it. But the second you get busy, you got 8 pickups tomorrow, like you can go write 8 handwritten thank you notes. No.
No, I've even to this day, I still, even though they can sign the contract online, I still take the contract with me and a set of printed out rules. So they sign it right in front of me and I keep it. I mean, here's the stack from last weekend right there. And I can't tell you, even though the rules are sent to them on the email, guarantee you 9 times out of 10, the people are not going to read them rules online.
Right.
It ain't going to click on it. It's just, it's not. And I can't tell you how many times I physically have handed them to people. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say no. 7 out of 10, I watch it get folded right up, stick under their pocket, stick under the table on the ashtray. You know that damn thing ain't never going to get opened up again. So it's kind of a waste, but those are things that I felt like even to today, it builds your respect with the customers because they see, all right, this guy's, he handed us the rules, even though my husband folded them up, stuck them in his sweaty ass dirty pants pocket because he's cutting the grass right when he's trying to set up the water slide. It still that type of stuff will leave an impact, but little gimmick stuff, little trinkets for the birthday boy, that doesn't leave an impact. I have not found it to be. I mean, we went through the t-shirts at first, a birthday boy t-shirt. It doesn't matter. We went through the magnets. I know you got the jump off magnets. I got my original magnet right here. I think it's on the refrigerator. My original magnet. I had my business cards put on magnets. Here, you put it on your refrigerator. I can guarantee you 8 out of 10 in the garbage. They're not gonna put that. They don't want that on the refrigerator. You may get a couple, but you're not getting a lot. So you don't want to waste your time on frivolous things that's not going to benefit growing your business, or you might think it does, and it probably will at the beginning. I'm not trying to steer any one of you away. Please, dear God, don't think I'm trying to. I'm not. Because I did everything you guys are thinking that are newbies, or even 3 years into it, or 2 years into it. And I'm no better than any one of you. And I don't want to try to act like it, but I've done all them stupid little things and the cleaning of the insides, and that I've heard something mentioned about the baffles being cleaned down or something. I think
Yeah, we used to have the driest baffles in the game on Wednesday.
I got it now. If my water unit, let's just say sits 3 weeks. Let's just say it sits 3 weeks. I'll go in there with a pump up sprayer with Fabulosis down the walls that ferments through that bounce house or water slide and comes out into the inside when that motor's going. That's better than cleaning it right in front of the customer because they smell fresh. Now if you got mildew, obviously clean that shit off. That's a given. But it's 3 weeks, you're not going to have mildew on the inside as long as it's wet. If it is damp, you're going to have mildew in 5 days. If it is wet, like wet, mildew don't grow in water. It grows in damp. Always remember that, guys. It grows in damp. Yeah, I'm telling some of my
how do you
competitors a hint, because I know some of my competitors are in a couple of these groups under fake names and they listen to everything I say, but I really don't give a shit about that either anymore.
Mark,
Yes.
how do you keep a water slide wet when it's rolled up?
How's it gonna dry? How's it gonna dry soaking wet?
They dry.
I can show you 6 water slides that's sitting out on my back slab in front of my shop right now that's been out there for a week and a half. And it's soaking wet.
They dry. I've had waterlogs combos and bounce houses rolled up, and when I open them up, they're full of crap. They're dried up, but they got dried up.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, Freddie, from my experience, mildew will not grow in water. If it is wet, it will not grow. If it is just damp, and bounce house combos, the bounce houses are always just damp. They're never soaking wet like a swimming pool on the slide. That will grow mildew in there. A water slide does not. The water does not stay at the top of a water slide. It all stays at the bottom. That's where your water is at the bottom. When you roll it up, that water is going to be down there at the bottom. And when you open it up, that's where the bulk of your water is going to be, is at the bottom. Some might spread around when you roll it, but I'm just telling you from my experience, and I've been doing it like this for many years, and I can show you slides that have sat 4 weeks. Actually, I did a live video. In PRK when it first came out. I had set up a jump orange slide that had been wet from July 4th to August 30th. I forgot about it. It was the 19-foot Fiesta. I'll never forget it. I had another water slide from Leisure that was wet for 3 weeks. And I totally forgot about the jump orange one. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to open this up. It's going to be black. I'm going to be so embarrassed, whatever. I did it to prove a point. That water slide was stayed soaking wet, because you roll it up, water might run out, but it's not all going to come out. That jump orange slide had 0 mildew on it. It was slimy. That water was slimy. You guys know how that water gets. It gets slimy. It gets gooey what do
you think that slime is?
It's getting ready to grow mildew at that time. We opened up the Leisure. We blow them both up at the same exact time. The Leisure was a splash landing slide, so it didn't hold as much water. I had more mildew on the Leisure than on any other unit I had. It all came off, but the jump orange didn't, because it was soaking soft and wet. But I left it for almost 2 months rolled up. And I did a live video in Party Rental Knowledge with it. And so it could be proven that I was correct on it.
What about leaves? How long?
Leaves will make stains within a couple of days.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting my butt kicked this year with that. I literally opened one up from 2 days. I've opened it up today and there's a stain. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
I just said it'd be 2 days, you'll get a stain from a leaf. I've had stains from leaves overnight. I've had grass stains from fresh green grass in the slide, turn brown overnight and leave that nice little brown strip right on the slide overnight. So yeah, anything like that, I try to rinse that all out if you see it right then on the job, and take the extra time to do that. And it don't take that long. I mean, think about it. You're standing there and you're done. You don't have to get all the water out, get all them leaves out at least. The leaves are the leaves and pine needles. Pine needles will actually have sap on them. Yeah. That will with the water will come out, and the sap will get on the water slide.
Yeah, where do you live at?
Wisconsin.
Okay, so you already have leaves falling off of trees up there. So
yeah,
but here they don't fall off the trees until December. But once we get to like mid-October, kind of closer to November, like we'll have like I try to have monthly meetings. They do not happen monthly, but try to have like the monthly meeting, and then that's when we talk about the leaves. I'm like, before you guys roll anything, like you have to blow the leaves off. Like I just buy cheap ass blowers, you know what I mean? Because everything going at that time is dry. And so just use a leaf blower and blow the leaves off of it. If we go, I tell them, if you go set up and it's they want it under the oak tree, like If we can talk our way out of that, dear God, please do. If not, pick up crew. Like you guys got work ahead of you because you got to get the leaves off. Because if you don't, unit's ruined, unit gets sold for less. Now the company makes less money. There's less hours for the guys. Right? You go down that whole little slippery slope there. But the only defense is offense.
Come on, Nick, create that leaf stain remover.
Bro.
Yeah, it's called Sun. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't found anything to take leaf stains off.
I remember like this might have been 2 years ago in one of who knows what Facebook group. There was some company from the Northeast, somewhere in New York or something, that said they had formulated a leaf removing something and needed units to test on.
Oh,
and
I
That
remember
Steven
that.
guy.
the
that was
comments went
Steven.
crazy.
Yeah.
I think it was Stephen Pertinsky or
Yeah, it was.
Ever say his name? I
Oh,
think
was it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that.
Then yeah, and I was kind of like, all right, like I was kind of like, I think that's
They
gonna
were
work.
wanting guineas to try it. Is what
Yes,
they were asking. That's right. I almost did that. I said, nah.
it's not gonna work. Like, yeah, and then I've never seen anything of it, so it's kind of like, well, definitely didn't work.
So if you get a leaf stain, you just like tell the customer what it is if it's pretty noticeable, so they don't
There's-
think like
We have one unit.
They don't care.
Yeah, generally speaking, they don't care. We have one unit where I don't know what happened. It was in the fall, and the front of it always falls down, and then there was like a leaf or multiple leaves in a puddle. So it's like this big abstract, but it's like obviously it was a puddle. And so then we blow it up to clean it. We were probably still cleaning stuff at the house. It's that long ago. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm devastated, dude. I used Goo Off or Goo Gone or whatever. I used every chemical I could find. I did make it less. Like it did lessen, but it's still there. But in the early days, I would to go drop it off and be like, listen, let me tell you about this thing on the front. Like I know on the website, there's a stain on the front. It was big and noticeable. But everybody was like, yeah, that's a bummer. But yeah, they didn't care.
yeah.
If it's real bad of staining on it, you probably should take it out of commission until the sun beats on it a little bit and lightens them. But if there's only one or two stains and the customer does look at it, just saying, hey, had a leaf in it when it was rolled up. This is what leaf stains do. It's going to take a couple months for this to go away for us. There's absolutely nothing to do. Sorry about that. Okay, your kids get their ass on there and play. I mean, you can't
You'd
do
be
nothing about it.
shocked. Like in my experience, like I explained to them what that is. They're like, a leaf? I'm like,
Yeah.
I know you think I'm on drugs, but I promise you the worst thing that can happen to this is a leaf, and the second worst thing is silly string. And they're like, are you serious?
They
Yeah, I
look
think-
at you like, what? There's nothing to take it off.
Right. Like, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Oh, OxyClean? No.
No.
Silly string. I got hit with silly string this weekend. A good hack is get gasoline on a rag and just kind of wipe it off. It'll come off real easy, and then sanitize it right after. It works every time. People think I'm crazy when I say that, but it works.
No, I've heard of that being done too, but you need to be really careful because there are some fabrics that the gasoline will actually make a foggy, that your fabric turn almost look like it's a haze across the fabric, and it'll stay. It actually will damage the clear part of the fabric, so you need to be careful with that. Also, if you happen to get it into the stitching, it will loosen the stitching a lot faster than soap dish detergent. Don't ask me how it does it, but this is coming right out of a manufacturer's mouth. I definitely, if you have to use gas, like you said, clean it right away, but I would not put it on real wet because I think that might be what caused the fogginess of certain materials. I'm not saying everyone, but if you could get the citric acid spray, I think it is citric spray. Is that what it is, Nick?
Yeah, it's like an air freshener. I don't remember what it's
Citrus
called.
something,
Citrus
citrus something.
Pure
That-
citrus air freshener.
yeah, that's really the key, unless you absolutely have no other choice. But I've heard of that. I think, was it Al that just said that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that. You know, I just caution you to be careful that I'd hate for you to do it. And then all of a sudden you open up that unit 3 weeks later and you got a big foggy spot, you know, where you cleaned it.
I
Yeah.
think it all depends on the manufacturer too. But sometimes I just like to get the gas and I just like to smell the rag too.
Huff it. Huff
There's
it,
always
bro.
an alternative method.
Those are signs and steps of becoming a crackhead.
Yeah. Everybody's probably like 3% crackhead. Al's like 13.
And there's this spray that helps for leaf stains and rust stains. I'll try to get it. It's in my garage. I'll send y'all a pic. It doesn't take off the leaf stains a lot, but if you have like rust stains from like D-rings or from, you know, the bottom D-rings that sometimes stick and then it can get rusty on the bottom of your unit. But I'll send a picture in the group chat of what it is.
If you use the purple simple green, that'll take the rust stains off of the D rings too.
I hate the way that smells.
Yeah, I've got,
Thanks.
oh, there you go. Gene just put the pure citrus picture in the Zoom.
Yeah, but gas has been good for me whenever I do get silly string. But
I've got a cleaner cleaning solution that we'll be releasing here soon. We got to do kind of like the final testing, but I don't think I have any silly string on any current units. But when we tested the test of it, it got silly string off, and it was old fucking black nasty silly string. We did have to scrub kind of hard, but it took it off clean. So I'll be releasing that. Hopefully I'll be releasing that tomorrow, actually. Kind of low-key teaser here, but we'll see. All right, dudes. Anybody got some questions? You guys want to roll questions? I've got some that I queued up from people that sent them to me via DM. But if you guys live got questions, I wish I could see the Facebook folks, man. Let me see if I can get over to the Facebook people on my phone. But if you guys on the Zoom got questions, holler. Oh, here we go. I'm in. All right, so
This is
Facebook.
just my luck
Back to your
here to do a
questions.
pickup and it starts pouring rain.
What'd you say?
I just got here to do a pickup and it starts pouring rain. This
Right.
sucks.
You get two options: send it or wait it out.
I'm getting wet.
Yeah, that's usually, if it's not a giant water slide, I'll just go.
It looks like an obstacle course to me.
It's just my Lego combo unit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not a real fast pickup either by yourself.
No. Sandbags, hard setup.
Well, it
Fine.
looks like you need to just stay in the meeting for a few minutes till it stops raining, get the hell off, go drop it, and you don't want to drop it now and then it fill up with, you know, an extra 100 gallons of water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a truck beer. Right now.
Although what he is showing us, guys, is exactly what I was just talking about. If he rolls that up that wet, he can let that unit sit a good week and a half before anything starts to happen to that because it's soaking, sopping wet. That was
listen,
my point.
I've had units sit way longer than your Fiesta combo or Fiesta water slide wet and be just fine.
Just the water might be slimy.
Yeah, a little bit. We had one, actually our best renting slide last year. We missed cleaning it. We literally didn't blow it up and dry it off. It came off of a rental, like rolled off a rental. And then, we kind of went through systematically, blow everything up, dried out for the season in September, October, and get everything dry. Well, we go to get ready for this season. It's like so this is like April. And I'm like, Isaiah, I swear to God, you guys didn't take this one. No, we did. I promise we did this one. Mike, I'm nervous, dude. It's rented out. It's like a random hot weekend in April. Like it's rented out in 4 days and I'm nervous. Let's just blow it up. We blew it up in April. It had been wet since September. and was totally fine. It was the water was, slimed up. It was a little bit gross, but I was like, dude, and that was an HEC unit. It was good to go.
Yeah, I just put a picture in the chat of my wrecking ball. That wrecking ball, I don't remember what year it was. It was before COVID. Before the week before IAPA of that year, let's just say it was the year before COVID, the wrecking ball went out and it got in a rainstorm, and we picked it up and we stuck it in the shop, and I went to IAPA. And we were there for, I think my wife and I were there for like 7 or 8 days. We used to stay at this campground there. I came back, totally forgot about it. And it went through December, and then January and February and March and April. And that bitch did not go back out until September of the next year.
Oh my God.
There was so much black on it when I set it up at the people's house. I had 3 guys because we had a busy day. God, I had like 8 water slides going out, plus the wrecking ball and other stuff. So I had like 3 guys with me. Home Depot was literally around the corner. I went and bought 3 pump-up sprayers and 3 gallons of bleach. And we all sprayed the entire thing down. Every bit of the mildew came off. But we sat there and cleaned that for almost 2 hours at these people's house. Thank God we got there like 4 hours before their party started. Then we had to call the other customers and explain why I was late. Of course, I had like a flat tire or something. I don't remember what I told them, but that's what I told them. But I rolled that up, and it was like almost a complete, it was like 9 months, 10 months. That was rolled up. And it was so black. But straight bleach took it completely off. And it smelled so good. Oh my God, it smelled so good. I don't think it's ever been that clean.
I was gonna say, cleanest unit you've ever had.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So don't you guys leave nothing over like that. Let the veterans make the mistakes. You guys learn from us.
For real. For real.
It does screw up quickly.
All right, here. This one might trigger some people, but I feel like the war has ended, so maybe it won't. Over on Facebook, Robert Salazar said, "Let's talk dollies. I'm looking to buy one." So I'll intro it like this. Figure out what you want to buy. I love Rollsall and use Rollsall and absolutely love them. It is a long fucking wait for a Rollsall, but that's who I use. That's who I love. But if you're not, let's see, how do we want to formulate this? Let's make this even and easy. There's new players to the game you should go check out, okay, for motorized and non-motorized. But realistically, you should probably stick to either one of the big 3, which is Rollsall, Jolly Dolly, Good Time Fabrication. Okay, then you also have the kind of the next tier players, I guess you could say, is Magliner, which is like a major corporation, and then the big Herc, who is at Granite Industries, right? Those are the other 2 that are kind of not in the big 3. Okay, so there's your 5 you should go check out. If you're not in the market for a motorized dolly, there's other options that you can go down, which if you're looking to go best bang for your buck, that's the Spacewalk Super Mover Dolly from spacewalksales.com. It's like probably $650, I think. And we'll get you, we'll move anything that you have in your inventory. I put it that way. If you don't have a motorized dolly already, like there's no way you already have 27-foot dual lanes or whatever. That one, we still have 2, and my guys still love them. Okay. The hubs break off of the wheels, you weld them back on. It's not that big of a deal. It's a little bit of a pain, but no big deal. Rollsall has manual dollies. Jolly Dolly has manual dollies. I don't know if Good Time Fabrication has manual dollies or not. And then you've got, let's see, One Trip Dolly, and then Big and Bright Inflatables just released their dollies, Bigfoot dollies. And those have all the bells and whistles. Like it's very quintessential mat, where it's got stake holders and blower hooks and extension cord hooks. I've never seen one in person. I will see one in person here in about a month and a half. I've never seen one in person. The looks of it looks like he did a good job, but I've never touched one. I don't know. I have messed with we do have a manual Jolly Dolly. Any large scale dolly, like any inflatable dolly with 2 wheels, I fucking hate. I just hate them. Just get 4 wheels. Dear God, just get 4 wheels. I've messed with the rolls all one. So it's basically the exact same dolly as a 36 volt without a motor, essentially. Rolls great, felt great at IAPA, like on a parking lot. I did not load a trailer with it, so I don't know how that goes. I think that's it. I think that's all the dolly stuff. So, all right. Now we'll open it up to the.
Actually,
Go ahead.
so I actually have my first dolly was a Good Time Fabrications manual dolly. It's a little blue one, 2 wheels. Hate it. Then I went to the motorized one. Best thing in the world until they break. Go put it away. So I just actually sent my manual dolly to Jerry, which is the owner of Good Time, to put 2 wheels on the back of it. And he's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I hate these 2-wheel dollies." So
Word.
it's in the process of that. I agree with you. 2-wheel dollies suck.
Yeah, the only way that because I bought that, it's a kind of a long story why I bought that Jolly Dollar from Gary a couple years ago, but the only way, and I bought the tall one, right? I'm like, yeah, the bigger the better. No, get the short one. The tall one sucks. Because the only way, not sucks, that's saying, that's putting it poorly, but the only way that it's not total like burden on your body is if you hit the happy point, like in the fulcrum. Like there's a point where like the dolly does the work for you, but you have to like hold it way up here because the dolly's so big. If you hold it down low, or if you hold the handles, not the frame, like you're just so far away from the weight that it's just like, it just yanks on your body. It's brutal, dude. Get one where you've got the 2 big wheels up front, and then you have the 2 little, skip leg day wheels in the back. So that way you don't have to touch, like you just have to push, you got to push, right? But you don't have to hold it up and down. All right, I thought that was going to start a war. It did not. So that is good. That means we're all mature to past the dolly wars.
I'm not starting anything because Austin is in a bad situation.
Yeah, if you guys didn't see my post, I shared. So John Schoolfield called me and told me about the situation with Austin Carrier, who is the son of Tommy Carrier, right? The founder of Rolls-All. His wife's been in the ICU with some crazy complications. If hopefully win, right? But if she fights through all of those, it's going to be a long road to recovery. So her sister started a GoFundMe. And so I shared that today in Bounce House Business Mentors and from my personal page. So if you guys want to go support a fellow inflatable, warrior, Austin could use all the support that we can give him. So if you don't have the means to go donate, just send him a message, let him know you're thinking about him and his wife and hoping for everything. And his wife also works at Rolls-All too. So she's a part of the community as well. So if you guys are able to go give to them.
Yeah, I had paid off for my Rolls-All like in February, and I think at that time they were going through something too with I think like the father-in-law or something that had like eye surgery or something, and he was the one who welds. And I haven't had it back, and I was like, man, like, why haven't I gotten my dolly yet? And then that's when I used to text the wife a lot, like, hey, what's going on or whatever. And then she stopped texting, and then it was the son, Austin, was texting me. And then at first I was like, I'm not trying to be an ass, but I was like, man, they're taking forever. I'm like, totally. But then I start realizing what's going on, and I'm like, damn, now I feel like a dick. Like I'm all like, hey, where's my freaking dolly at, man? But I'm like, then everyone's posting all this stuff, and I messaged, I think like Thomas like a couple days ago, I'm like, hey, it's been a while, where's my dolly at? And then I see all this stuff, and I'm like, man, I feel like an asshole now. But supposedly I'm supposed to get my dolly in 2 weeks, but I'm not even gonna rush it now.
It's just, it's one of those things it's still cool that even though they put out as many dollars as they do, and like from the sidelines, we're all like, they must be this huge corporation and all these, and then you realize like how a tight knit of a crew it still is. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool.
All right, to joining on the Delegating discussion. I don't know, 6 weeks ago, last time or the time before the second to last time you had this thing, I had just bought a new dolly, and I had asked you guys what dolly, because I bought this new dolly and thought it was a piece of shit. And I talk a lot of trash on this dolly.
The yellow one, right?
Yellow one, yeah. It's actually, I'll post it in the chat right here.
Yeah, I
So anyway,
remember that.
I had just bought that dolly and got it the day before, I think, that Booze and Biz. And the only thing I've been using prior to that was the black tall Tractor Supply dolly. And with 18-foot slide, it's tippy and a pain in the ass and whatever. So I got this yellow dolly thinking it was going to be okay. And I got it. And the first time I used it, I was like, this thing is a piece of garbage. It's not any better than my Tractor Supply dolly. And I paid $800 for it. So that being said, weeks have went by. I've been way busier and I've been using nothing but that yellow dolly. It actually isn't that bad. It would be better if it had swivel wheels, but it isn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was. I just didn't know how to use it, I guess, because I just used it the first time. But it actually is, it does the job.
Not bad.
No, it's not terrible.
It's,
Yeah.
not,
Go ahead, Freddie.
it's not bad because it's all you have.
True, it's true. Without a doubt, it's the best thing I've used so far. So obviously, it's not that. It's better than the Tractor Supply dolly. When I originally got it, I said it wasn't any better. I was like, it's maybe a little bit better, but it wasn't. It wasn't $800 better compared to $169 or whatever the hell the Tractor Supply dolly was.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about the whole thing is like that Tractor Supply. I don't know how they like get away with selling it for as cheap as they do versus that, like the one that that yellow one is the same thing, but with an extra little back wheel thing going on.
No, I don't actually have that version of the Tractor Supply dolly. I have the tall black skinny one.
Oh yes.
I guess that's the one that's real tippy, but I actually still use it with my 15-foot tent and table slides, and it has no problem. Like that's easy with the 15-foot tent and table slides because they're only like 300 pounds or 270 pounds, something like that. So the 18-footers, I have to use the yellow one. And like I said, it's just not as bad as I was talking a lot of trash on it. I just wanted to kind of clear the air that it is not as bad as I made it seem. It was just user error and being a rookie.
Anyway, I'll tell you the motorized one because then can't wait for you to get a motorized one. That's
probably
like one of the greatest days of your life.
My fear is it breaking. That's why I see all the forums. Everybody's just breaking all the time. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
They break.
They break, but if you use them correctly and watch how you use them and don't switch forward to reverse while it's rolling, or you're coming off the ramp and you hit it from into reverse or forward to slow it down, that's what breaks all those things. I mean, if you even I catch myself looking at my guys. I mean, I still have the original Supernova. I have the very first version that he made, and it still runs, and it runs great. I've never had any major problems on it, but I watch guys, the two guys that work for me, they pull a 19-foot jump orange slide over it. It's wet. Okay. When it's wet, it's probably 490 to 550 when it's wet. Okay. You pull any motorized dolly over and it slams on the casters of the driving wheel, you're going to break it.
Yep.
If you're driving forward and all of a sudden you decide you hit the guys hit the forward reverse button accidentally, and that, whether it's chain driven or it's not chain driven, and that motor's going in one direction forward, all of a sudden they hit the button and it goes and it stops, you're going to break something. If you do, I got to use the word training, but I'm going to tell you what, I don't train my guys. I just teach them when we're working, because it's going to go in here. It's going to come right out over here. Somehow it's going to come out the other ear. If you teach them how to properly use it or how you would use it and just keep instilling that into them, it's not going to break. You're always going to break, or you're always going to have the forward reverse break. That's a quick part. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it in any auto parts store. You're always going to have the throttle to go forward, no matter if it's the thumb throttle or if it's a turn the handle throttle. You can buy them on Amazon. Those things just break. I mean, they just break. You've got what are they called? Not resistors that transfer the power from the batteries to, what the hell are those things called? Everyone has them. Every electric dolly has them. It's like a
Terminals?
plug. What the hell is those things called? I can't remember what they're called, but those are all things that just break. They're cheap parts. They're $7-8 parts that they just wear out. They just break. But for an electric dolly to physically break, like the motor or the axle or the casters, you're doing something wrong. It's not like it just breaks on its own. You're doing something wrong. I mean, I physically have, still, I'm not kidding you, the very first Supernova dolly that was made, when everybody else had all them problems, I replaced batteries and that was it. You know, relay switches, that's what it was called. They're called relay switches that'll go like from the full reverse motor to the main motor, or they're simple, plug out, plug in, boom, you're done and you're back rolling. I suggest anybody that have electric dolly, have a spare throttle, have a spare relay, and have a spare forward and reverse button in your truck. So if it breaks, unplug it, plug it in. Even if it looks generic and stupid, you can still use it till you get back to your shop. And I suggest that to anybody, you know, but I would not be hesitant of an electric one. I think you're a new company, aren't you?
Yeah, brand new.
Yeah, I remember that correctly. I believe that was what I remember. You're probably not financially ready to be able to buy one of them.
Yeah.
And
I'm 30 some grand.
look in the chat. Look at my first motorized buggy over there. It's in the chat right there.
I seen it.
Whenever I come visit, Mark, we're doing a video and we're
That
gonna
was
get that bad boy out.
actually designed to, and I still have I still have that. It was actually designed for concrete. It had a concrete basin in it. I took that sucker off and built that frame. And actually what is sitting in there is the wrecking ball, the picture that he's got behind it, that Nick's got behind it on the screen right now. That's the wrecking ball in there. And then of course I advanced, but
That's a really nice roll.
you know, you're not obviously, and I'm not saying anything bad, you're not prepared to buy an electric dolly, which that's a big expense. That's like 2 bounce houses, a combo and a bounce house. But when you get to that point, all I suggest to you is, or if you just say, you know what, I'm gonna go take a loan out and I'm gonna get one of anything, take care of it. Teach yourself how to use it first, then teach the people to help you. Hey, don't slam this down. Each one of them casters cost $25 or $75, you know. But do not be afraid that it's going to break. They're not. Obviously, if you buy it, I think, I hope there's not a representative here, but if you buy a badass dolly, you're probably going to be disappointed.
If you buy a caster if you have a dolly that has a caster for $75, you bought the wrong dolly.
If you buy an electric dolly from like Moonwalk USA, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Extremely. I saw that used at IAPA last year. The guy that bought it was happy as can be, man. I saw him, he was rolling out a unit that he bought at the show, right in the parking lot. And literally I was standing at my truck waiting to leave. And I watched him come by with this thing. And when he stopped, the dolly's driving down the road, just like this. When he stopped, the whole dolly just went boom. And I mean, right the hell over. He was happy as can be. They're a piece of shit. Don't buy that. I don't know. I did have a problem with one of the companies Nick said about one of the dollies. I actually had a lawsuit with them, and I won't mention the name. But I would, if I had to buy an electric dolly, I would buy Good Time Fabrication. If I had to buy an electric one, only for the fact I know Jerry stands behind anything that he builds, and he will do everything he can to fix your dolly without physically costing you money. I
So
know that.
my dolly from Jerry right now is actually down, and it's throwing codes. It's it says it's either the throttle that's messed up or the speed controller. And I sent him a video of it last night or this morning. Spoke to him this morning, and he's sending me all the parts. The only thing is I'm so far that he can't be here to fix it. But he said, if you bring it to me, I'll fix it for you. And I was just like, just send me my dolly. I mean, send
And-
me my parts, I'll fix it. I'm capable of fixing it.
Now, I think Gene he's not in Florida,
No, I'm in New Jersey.
right?
Are you
Um,
going to IAPA?
I am not this year.
But here's what I was going to say to follow up what Freddie just said. That exactly proves my point of what I just said. Jerry stands behind his stuff. And I know Jerry for a fact has driven down to Miami to Al Sanchez's place to repair dollies instead of having Al bring them up to him. And other people had dollies that wasn't his that brought over to him, and Jerry fixed them. So he's definitely a stand-up smaller company compared to, like Granite or Rolls-All or them other guys.
Yeah,
But
Rolls is pretty small.
I think Roseall's small too.
if I had to buy,
And he's kind of right there with Jerry as far as customer service.
Totally. Like, because we've broken shit on our older 36 volt is like doesn't have all the beefed up stuff that he puts on them now. And so we've broken some shit. And yeah, he just sends me if I can do this, boom, do that, boom. Yeah. Like, no, like, yeah, doesn't even blink an eye.
I did want to touch on one other thing that you kind of actually your initial talking about scaling and being a small business compared to and being prepared to be a bigger business. So Nick, that this was this weekend was my biggest weekend I've had. I just started 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had 5 units out this weekend, all doing it myself. Funny story is, I think all my units came with. This is actually kind of a sales pitch for Nick too. At the same time, all my units came with tags. Labels to what the units were that you can kind of just put on the straps. And my wife said to me, we should put them all on there. I have 7 units. And back then when I really wasn't renting any or they were sitting in my garage or whatever, I'm like, I know which each one of them are. Like, it's not hard to tell. So obviously if I get more, I'm going to need to label them in some way. So this weekend I had 5 units go out. Of course I have an enclosed trailer. So I stacked the trailer, obviously. Last one is last one's in the back. First one's, first one's in the back. Last one's in the front of the trailer. I get to my first stop, go out, lug everything to the backyard, set up the tarp, take the blower out there, hook extension cords up, get hose ready, roll the unit all the way out there. I roll it all the way out, and I open it, and it was a combo unit.
You got the wrong one.
Yeah. It's my first stop. My first stop. So now that thing is on the back of my trailer and I have to get it out for every single stop after that. And I'm like, that will never happen again. And Nick sells straps where you can write your unit on there. But I just thought that was funny because you were talking about scaling. Obviously, when you're small, you think you can just say, oh, whatever, I know which each unit is. As you get bigger, you obviously can't do that. But like Nick said earlier, you should probably start and act like you're big right from the beginning. You'll save yourself a lot of headaches.
That's what, I invented a different system to label them because I've never liked writing on them in Sharpie. I don't know why, but you get the big paint marker, right? And you just write on it, Princess Combo. I've never liked it. I've never thought it was effective for some reason. I don't know why. So I came up with a whole ass way to label every unit, right? And I did this with paint marker and this little tag, and like it's made of vinyl, like it's hooked to the thing, whatever. And it works good for so long. So like that's where the straps that I sell were born out of. Because finally I'm like, I have a sewing machine, dude. Like I can sew some vinyl on this. And then it worked. It worked well, right? And so that was like the first thing I did to scale, because that was the first problem that I encountered when I had another truck running that I wasn't in. Then I read a book called The E-Myth Revisited. The E-Myth Revisited. Everybody that's a reader, that's a business owner, should go read that book. So I read that book and I'm like, Right. Like I need that little teeny thing of labeling the units in this special way. Like I need that for everything. Like to that way, because basically in the book, what he says is if you have a business that you just can't sell tomorrow to a guy that's rich that doesn't want to do it, then you don't actually have a business that's marked. Like you don't really have a business. You just have a job. Like you made yourself some work. And that's great that you work for yourself and everything. And so I set out to then kind of systematize everything, so to speak. And I have a way that I could do it all, but like it doesn't really mesh well with my personality. So it's kind of a watered down version that we have now. But that whole thing is just like, make it so you don't have to be there. And then guess what? You don't have to do. Be there to where, right? And I love being there. So like I always am until I'm not, which was which was July, was not there. Like I was gone for 22 of 30 days and everything. Like I'm like text the guys, like, how'd everything go? They're like, dude, stop texting me. It went smooth. You know, it went smooth. Like leave us alone. Right. But it all started with that. Let's label the units so we know the guys are grabbing what they're grabbing.
Yeah, I was pretty annoyed my first stop, my biggest weekend, my first stop, and I unrolled a combo, and I'm like, so then I had to roll it all back up, lug it all through the yard again to get it to, like I said, then I had to remove it every single stop after that. I was so aggravated, and it was something so simple that I could have just avoided from the beginning. And but you know, I'm smart. I knew which each one was. Of course I did. Except for two of mine, the bottoms are green. The one's a combo, one's a slide. But for some reason, I swore I knew that was the combo. But I think it's because I knew those things when they were first put in there and I wasn't really started yet. And then all of a sudden I started getting 2 or 3 out every weekend for a couple of weekends. And then shit started getting mixed around and ready to rain and fold it, rolled differently or whatever. It's like all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, is that the combo? Is that the slide? And no, that's the slide. Okay. I took
And when
it.
you're loading that trailer, you know what I mean? Whether you load them that morning or back in the days, you load them the night before, but like you're thinking about like, did I Google Earth this place to see where this neighborhood is? Did I get their deposit? Right? Your brain is going through so many different things. Like you just see green and grab green, but your brain is not actually processing what you're doing.
Blowers, stakes, extension cords, tarp stakes.
Yeah.
Right.
1 horse, 1.5 horse. Should I put it in the trailer? Should I put it in the bed of the truck?
Right.
Yeah, you've just got you're processing so many things that you just goof it up.
But it's a lesson learned. That won't
Yes.
happen. That won't ever happen.
Nick, you don't keep steaks on your trailer all the time?
Keep what?
Steaks.
No, we don't. I've kind of messed with a couple of different ways of running them. I want to get my steak bags that we made. I want to get those on every unit. But they've been selling really well, so we're kind of low on inventory, and then we have 60 units. So it's kind of like to implement that process. Like that's one thing that I would do. I have no intention of ever selling the jump off, but if I were to, is I would have those on every unit to where like literally all you have to do is grab the unit and go. But we just have, so we have 4 different bins of anchors, and then it's kind of like I hate to say this, but it's really kind of true. The guys know how many each unit gets. And so like, you know, we only have 3 drivers and then a new driver is training right now, but they just know what everyone gets. And so like you take a bin with enough anchors and you go, you know, 4 for bounce house, 6 for this combo, 8 for this combo, whatever, and make sure that's in your bin. That's the least efficient part of my business for sure, hands down, which is why I created the fucking steak bags. But with as many units as we have, it's just hard to implement.
Where do you put the steak bags? You throw them in the unit when you roll it?
No, they go on the, let me show you. I'll see if I can show you. They go on the straps. They go on the lashing straps. So one of them stays on it at all times. And the other one kind of has an adjustable. Here we go. Yeah, I'll show you. There you go. So like normally this will be in Sharpie, right? Like I had to make that on Canva so it like looks printed, but so you just write on there whatever the unit is. So Big Kahuna, it takes a 1.5 and then takes 10 anchors. Then in the bag, you keep 10 anchors. And so the top has a loop. You kind of can't see in this picture, but there's a loop right there that stays on the unit at all times. And then this one goes around that bottom. I thought I had one on here, but I don't, of it in action. Yeah, then this bottom one goes on the other lash.
So the stakes don't rip through that vinyl?
No,
I feel like after throwing them in there sometimes.
you got to put them
they'll
in
start to-
upside down. Put them in upside down. Don't put them in pointy side down. You get yourself in
Okay.
trouble. Yeah, you get yourself in trouble. But yeah, it's a Velcro thing, and then you drop them in, like that. So they're like that.
Have you tried throwing them in the unit before you roll them? Because I was thinking about
I've always been
doing it like that.
I've always been nervous that they're gonna rust in there and leave stains and shit. So that's why, because after reading the book, I read the book and I literally like sat down like with my journal and went through and was like, how do I make every single thing bulletproof? And initially this bag was going to have another strap like on the side of it over here or something. I don't remember, to hang the extension cord. So like every unit would have an extension cord and then all of this. But it just didn't work very good. That just didn't work very good. But I was kind of like,
I mean, I like the organization sounding of what you got there, but I just got 3 5-gallon buckets in the front of my trailer with 150 stakes in it. And they know 15 stakes go out to a 19-foot water slide, put them on a dolly, or while I'm doing the contract with the customer, the guy takes the dolly back to the trailer. He knows next slide's going out. We got to put 15 stakes on a dolly. They go on a dolly strapped down before I go back. I tried the bag thing, but it wasn't your bag. I think I actually bought it from Moonwalk USA. I think David Wang was making them for a while. And it was no, I 100% am glad with how you do things, but no disrespect, but to me it was a pain in the balls because they were left. They weren't brought to the DP. They'd have to walk back to the truck to get the bag, or they didn't put enough of the anchors in the bag. That's just me.
that was the reason why I was like, it has to be hooked to the unit. Like it has to be hooked to the unit, and then all the anchors have to be in there. And then, the downfall of that system is we don't send every unit every week. So
Right.
You're going to have to buy way more anchors than you ever use, save for maybe a Halloween or a 4th of July. But the whole notion though was like, build the company to where it doesn't require me. Like it doesn't require me because it's all well oiled and there's no, remember this, because that was the problem was as I scaled, right? Or as I guess you could say, as the jump off scaled, the second truck would run into all sorts of crazy problems that were this big, like nothing catastrophic, right? But would just have to call me constantly because this slide has this many tethers and there. Do we do the, it just was never ending. And so I read that book and I'm like, right, because I'm the bottleneck of the whole company. Like everything has to run through Nick because it's all Nick's opinion and it's all Nick's way or whatever. There's no like normalcy to everything. And so I was like, I need to remove myself as the bottleneck. To an extent, I still am, right? Because what I've taught Trevor, what I've taught Isaiah, what I've taught Roman is everything to how to do it right. But then they're out there putting into action what I taught them. It's not bulletproof. Like, right? You show up and it's got 10 anchors on the freaking bag. You put 10 anchors, you go to pick it up. It's got 10 anchors on the bag. You make sure you count to 10 and you put them on the thing before you put the straps on the big kahuna. You know what I mean? So that was the whole notion of the whole thing. From people that have bought the stake bags that are small companies, they've really liked them. If you've got 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 units already, it's like, no, dude, I don't expect you to spend $4,000 on steak bags from me so you can, right, kind of get everything going smoothly. It's one of those things where it's like, start this when you're new, so it'll work well. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I wish I would have thought of it, when I had 8 units instead of 60.
Hey Nick, sorry if I missed it before. I just got back to the truck. So what do you do with your steaks? Do you just have them all in your warehouse in a bin, and then the guys just, however many units they have, they just throw that many steaks in like a bucket in the truck?
Yeah, so we have these it's made by Rigid, like, which is like the Home Depot brand. It's like this plastic bin. We got a shitload of them. We use a shitload of them in the Christmas light business too. So we have like a zillion of them. They're like $18 a piece. And so in each bed of the truck, there's one of those bins at all times. Like, they're just in there always. And so when the guys go to pick up, they just fill up. And the truck that they use the more, like, it starts to overflow. And so on Saturday, just make sure you got enough. Like, so like upcoming Saturday, like, we're not busy enough to even have to worry about it. So what's in both of the trucks will be more than plenty. The only time you have to worry about it is when you get really, really busy, which is, for us, is generally speaking, May and beginning of June. Then it slows back down. Then 4th of July is huge. And then through the rest of July, we're not that busy. So in May is when it's stressful. So we have 4 of those bins that are just filled with a miscellaneous amount of anchors. This upcoming weekend, the boys, they won't even count it because the beds of the trucks have enough. When you're busy, though, is when you've got to be really cognizant of what you're taking, what you're bringing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, hold on. I got a crazy question in the thing. I wonder.
There's something that Wayne.
Hey,
put
Mark,
in the-
when you get a chance,
Yes. When I get a chance, what? Freddie, are you there?
yeah, sorry, somehow I got muted again. When you get a chance, can you send me a picture of how you have your steaks in your trailer so they're not tipping over?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to touch on Wayne Hicks, I think it was, speaking out. Speaking of rust, how do you guys put anything on your blower tube clamps to stop them from rusting? It's very hard to stop them from rusting, but I spray PB Blaster lubricant on mine when they start getting a little rusty. You can also, and it works. I had an old person tell me this, and it works. If you take a little cup, like a little, I don't know, 6-ounce solo cup, those little red cups, and you put some vinegar in it, put your clamp in the vinegar, and just drop a little bit of baking soda in there, that shit will fuzz up, and it literally breaks the rust. And once you break the rust away, you can spray it. I use PB Blaster lubricant. It's hell, I don't know. It's called PB Blaster lubricant. That's all I know. And I spray it on it, and that's the best you can do to it. I mean, those are some of the cheapest parts that any manufacturer uses, those clamps, that they buy them by the thousands. They're probably made for like 0.0001 cents a piece. It's probably cheap metal, but that's what I would do. If yours are stuck, and I've done it many times, leave your blower tube out when you roll so you can get to the clip. If you leave the tube out, you can get to the clip. Put the clip in a cup, put some white vinegar in there, put some baking soda in, that shit will fuzz right up. It literally dilutes the rust, and then spray it with PB Blaster lubricant and sit there, squeeze. You got to squeeze it to break it free, or keep it loosened, get it in there, and it'll last for quite a while. But yeah, that's my only fix I've ever known for it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good little hack right there.
Actually, I'll do a video just for shits and giggles. And Jay, I do it all the time with Russian stuff. I'll put vinegar and drop it in there and put some baking soda in, that shit will fuzz up. It's just amazing how it fuzzes up.
I
And it
heard
works.
I heard Coca-Cola do that too.
Yeah, it takes forever though. It takes forever, and it's messy and sticky, and ants and all kinds of shit will come out.
Mountain Dew. Got to do it with Mountain Dew.
You just
Yeah.
like Mountain Dew, or is that like a real thing?
I think it's just the carbonation from it. Mountain Dew or Coca-Cola. It's the carbonation. Club soda takes acid off of batteries if you're ever in a car thing. So the carbonation is what eats up the rust.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Buddhist lakeside bouncers put on their lice can live on the surfaces that are smooth and slippery. If they got lice, it's from the other kids playing.
Yeah, that's the question I was reading. It was from Fernando Soto. He said, it's our first year in business. We had a large event center 2 weekends ago of the Comic-Con, and then had someone call the event center stating that their child got head lice from the bounce house. Has anyone had this?
Sounds like a their problem.
Yeah, and then Ariel said that it can't live on a surface that's smooth and slippery.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on that one. We did an event with my slip and slide, and it was a school teacher's that the slip and slide for a week. I clearly remember because my wife was working at the hospital at the time. And she called me like a week later and said her children got staph infections from my slip and slide. You cannot get a staph infection unless you rub up against that person with the staph, with the open wound. It going into the water is not going to create staph infection. I mean, you probably got a better chance of swimming in a strange canal and getting some kind of leech crawl up your swimming trunks and bite you on the balls. I don't know. But you're not going to get stuff like that in the water slide. And lice, I think, that would be pretty far-fetched. I mean, what are they going to do? Hang out in the water and swim around until somebody slides down and jumps on you? That's just somebody that probably contracted it from another kid at the party, or it happened prior and she's just blaming you.
Yeah, it's just funny. Like, she was like, I bet it was the bounce house. We should call the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And then the Comic-Con lady that answers the phone's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'll call the bounce house company right now. Hey, just to let you know. Like,
Yeah,
no. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works.
It's just wild what customers dream up of.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
I did step away for a minute, but I seen, Nick, you were talking about your steak bags, and then I seen somebody posted 2 5-gallon buckets on the trailer for tarp steaks and one for other steaks. So I had bought a couple 5-gallon buckets and tried my steaks in a bucket, and that doesn't work. So I don't know.
Tip over, right? Like,
Yeah, so if you put the hook part up, they tip over. If you put the hook part down, then all the points are sticking up. So it's like I had to find another solution to that.
that's
Put
why I got the
Put
rigid
the buckets in milk crates.
Yeah, milk crates looks like a decent idea.
That's what I do right now.
But yeah, I tried the bucket thing, and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. Not only that, I use most of mine. I'm using 1-inch steaks on because I feel like the 5/8 just pull out too easy most of the time. So
yeah, you'll change your mind later.
You're doing 1-inch steaks all the way around.
I am.
You're a very brave man. Not only do you use yellow unfunctional dolly, but you're using 1-inch all the way around. God,
I like
you
the
don't
word.
want to stay in this business long, do you?
Well, I've already seen my 5/8 steaks pull out of the ground so easily, like very easily.
I bought an easy unit, 15-foot slide. It was like 2021, and it showed up with 1-inch steaks. I didn't even know they existed. I didn't even know they existed, and they came. I'm like, what in God's name? Like, right? I got soft ground too. I'm like, what in God's name are these?
They don't seem them.
And I sold them. Like, somebody came to buy like a used combo that I sold, and they're like, these are the steaks that come with it.
Part of my problem also is that I'm in New Jersey, so I have to get state inspections. And Tent and Table has in their manual that they're 15-foot slides called for 1-inch steaks, so I have to have 1-inch steaks for inspections.
Fucking Tent and Table. Why would you do that? I don't know why they do that to people.
But like I said, I actually kind of like them better. I feel, like I said, I've had 5/8 pull out many times already.
I use 1/8, 5/8 and 1-inch stakes, but I use 1-inch stakes only at the very rear of my water slide, and the one tether on each side,
Right.
and then
So
the rest is 5/8.
How are they
I don't,
pulling out?
I don't have all 1-inch, but when I do have, if I do put some 5/8 in this, like on the slide base, I'll use 1-inch on the tethers because I don't have enough 1-inch to do all my slides. If I, like last weekend I had 5 out, I don't have enough 1-inch to do all of them. But I just did 1-inch on the tethers on that one.
And I
pulling
was
out?
just what?
Like where are you at, Gene? Where are you having them pull out from? Like
On
where are
the
they
side.
pulling?
On the side, I picked up one the other day, the stake was sticking out of the ground that much. And I bury my stakes, like I bury them.
There's no way, like nobody has softer ground than me. Nobody.
I
Come to Florida.
The last two or three last lawns I did were like highly maintained irrigated lawns and they were soft.
Yeah, because people ask me that all the time. They're like, I'm worried. Somebody sent me a message the other day, like it rained, like do I need to cancel all my things because like my stakes will pull out? I'm like, no, bro. The wet ground will hug the stake or the anchor better than dry ground. Because in dry ground, it just goes in. It's just dry. It's a hole. Like you can just do this. You know what I mean? The wet ground, it like, I don't know. That's weird.
I'm not saying all of the stakes on the slide have pulled out, but I pulled up to where 1-inch and a couple inches are sticking out on one of the stakes or two of the stakes. And like I said, I had the 1-inch anyway for my inspection, so I had bought some anyway.
Yeah, that'll happen depending how this unit's being used. If they're rocking it and really beating it up, it'll come up a little bit. But
It
you're
also
doing one.
It also
Forget it.
happened a couple weekends ago when I was in the middle of putting up a slide and the storm came through and the winds blew like 30 mile an hour as I'm staking it into the ground.
Yeah, you could put in 5-inch stakes. You ain't
No.
if a wind's gonna pick that up, it's gonna pick it up.
That was really annoying because of course the storm came out of nowhere. I'm in the middle of staking it. And then the storm comes, wind starts gusting like crazy, lightning striking all around me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. So I deflated the slide really quick. Sat in my truck for 20 minutes, waiting 15 minutes, trying to wait for the wind to calm down so I could blow it back up because I had the tethers to still do. And I haven't figured out a way, I'm assuming you guys don't know either, that I don't know, can I put the tethers in when it's deflated? Because I don't know where to put them at that point. Like
I wouldn't.
Right, yeah. So I was like, okay, I still got the tethers to do, and I had to wait till the wind kind of calmed down to do that. So I had to wait to blow it back up again. But
Yeah,
when I had a couple stakes, in for that one, even a couple stakes had pulled up just in the 5 minutes or 10 minutes the wind was blowing.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're putting them straight down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like if it was me setting that up, I would have hurried and got those tethers in and then deflated it so I could get to the next setup.
I couldn't because the side was already sideways. It literally started, it was tilted this way. I had to grab a tether and pull it back down. So I was like, all right, shut it down.
Yeah. You mean, you did the right thing.
Yeah. The neighbors had a canopy in their backyard. It went blowing away and everything else.
Jeez, I don't know you guys had that kind of stuff up in Jersey. That sounds like down here.
We get bad thunderstorms all the time because we're right by the beach and we get a lot of humidity and it's just, we get thunderstorms all the time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Not like down where you guys, but we get
that. Fernando asked, do you guys have any ideas for stakes on sandy soil areas?
I've never had an issue with sand. I've done it on the beach.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I could think of is use longer, like just go longer than 18 inches.
To be honest with you, it was actually harder to stake in on the sand because the deeper you in, the more compact the sand is. It's really freaking hard.
It's doing this whole way.
Yeah, I'm in Florida, so when you're out in someone's yard, within a foot of even a couple inches, you're already hitting mud. So when I did stuff on the beach, man, it gets really hard to get them in there.
Yeah, I think you should be good because the sand, like that's a kind of a misnomer on sand. Everybody thinks it's like loosey goosey. It's like it's only loose on the top, dude.
Yeah.
So through it, it's tight.
It's tight and it's wet. No pun, but
yeah. All right, Trayvon, you got your hand up? Go ahead, my friend. Well,
Nope, you're on mute. You mute yourself.
I went to go unmute him, and then I accidentally muted him. All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm trying to figure out because obviously I got winter coming up here soon, and I'm trying to figure out how do I store my units in the wintertime? Or like, do I have to store them any special kind of way? Because they in my enclosed trailer right now. Do they need to go in the garage? Like, you know what I'm saying? Do I put them up somewhere or what?
Yeah, because you're out in Minnesota, right?
Michigan.
Michigan. I don't think so. Obviously, I'm not in a cold area, but if you put them in your garage, they'll for sure be fine. Any other cold weather people here? Because obviously, whatever the temperature outside is what temperature inside your enclosed trailer.
So
Right.
I will tell you, it's not Michigan, but when I bought my first unit, it was a used unit off somebody. He was in Philadelphia. He had like 30 units in his garage, and that was my concern too. Originally, I'm like, because it does get cold in the Northeast, not like Michigan, but it does get cold. And then of course, I asked him, is like, are these units fine sitting in your garage all year? He's like, yeah. So I was just worried about going from really cold temperatures to really hot temperatures and so on and so forth, that it would deteriorate the material. And he said he hasn't had a problem in 7-8 years he's been doing it. 10 years he's been doing it. So
the cold don't do nothing to the vinyl then.
I'm in Wisconsin, and I mean, it's cold here, and I got 2 storage units, and I just make sure they're dry as can be before, when season starts to slow down in October, November.
Mhm.
I just make sure they're dry. I throw them in the storage unit, and in 5 years, I haven't had one issue when I blew them back up in the spring. The
Okay.
biggest thing is just make sure they're nice and dry.
Okay.
And then I
Yep.
just throw mice repellent all around. So
Good question. I got one more question too about like paying employees. Do y'all deduct that from like taxes when y'all go to file taxes and stuff? Do that?
No.
Like, does that have any? Do they have anything to do with my taxes? I'm trying to figure out because I have to pay people. You know what I'm saying? So
We pay on
Yes.
the
So what?
it's basically the table because I'm not, giving them a W-9 or nothing like that. So
So what you want to do is tell them up front, hey, when it comes down to tax time, you're going to be given a 1099, and
so
so
I need to give them a 1099.
yeah, it's in your best interest, because then you basically get to you don't get to write off all the
put it on
payroll, but like, right, it's a deduction, and so it lowers your tax liability. So you're going to want to 1099 them. They're not 1099 contractors, they're employees, so you're not supposed to 1099 them. However, plenty of people in our industry do that and quote unquote get away with it.
Okay.
Kind of depending on your situation, talk to your CPA about this. My CPA directed me to do 1099 when they were clearly not contractors, because I was so small. I mean, I was really small back then, right? And then as the business escalated, like she kind of like flagged me, and she was like, it's time to go W-2, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Just have the conversation with them, and that's the important part. You can 1099 them. You don't have to 1099 them till April 14th. Like that's not that big of a deal. It's the conversation with them that's important, because all of a sudden they're going to get a 1099. They're going to owe taxes on the money that they thought was under the table that they've already spent. So you tell them, hey, every single thing I pay you. I used to tell my guys that back in the 1099 days, 30% of what I pay you needs to go somewhere safe. Right. It only needs to be about 20%, but I knew if I tell them 30, they'd do 10. So they wouldn't quit when it got to tax time. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
But
And can I jump in there real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Because I know a couple companies, one in Florida, and I know a couple up in Georgia that actually asked the same exact question as you did. And they were 1099 their workers. They actually had their workers go get a pressure clean and occupational license. So when they paid them, they could file their money they're making from the bounce houses under the pressure clean and occupational license, pay their taxes. You got a legitimate company that you're paying them, they're filing their taxes. How it worked it works. But I agree with Nick that eventually you're going to have to get to where they have a paycheck, you're taking out the taxes, they're getting a W-2. But you know, if it's just getting you started and rolling, everybody pulls the best strings that they can to get things going. And if I was in your position, I would look at my guy and say, hey, why don't you go get a lawn maintenance occupational license? You're cutting grass. So I pay you, you can legitimately turn this money in under this business name. It's a lot better for them. That doesn't mean a world of crap to you because you're actually still paying somebody and you can 1099 them. But eventually you're gonna have to do either a payroll service might be a good thing for you because payroll services actually take out all the taxes and everything.
Yep.
You know, that might be something to look into. But if you're at a point right now where you got to make a decision, you just 1099 them and let them pay their taxes. I stick with 26.75% in Florida of every dollar. 27 cents out of every dollar, it's got to go to the government. I mean, that's the way you got to look at it, you know. So 30% is definitely covering everybody's ass. But in actuality, I think, you know, 22 to 26% should be enough. But still, what's that, a few pennies? You know what I'm saying? But that might help out. You know, I don't know how many people you got. If you only got one or two guys, tell them to go get a $50 occupational license for cutting grass, and then
Yeah.
they at least can turn it in under an entity
Okay.
as income.
Gotcha.
You know.
Because the W-2 shit is the right way to do it, but it is just expensive because you've got to pay a payroll company to process it, and then on top of that, as soon as you have W-2 employees, you have to pay workers' comp, right? Workers' comp though protects you. Like if one of your guys, like waterside, falls on your dude and breaks his arm, and you're paying him 1099, but he's not supposed to be 1099, like you can get yourself in trouble, right? It's like I'm fully protected because I got workers' comp. All my guys are W-2. They got FICA taken out, blah, 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 the whole nine, right? So it is more expensive. What's the best way to say this? Once your company gets to a certain size, those expenses are good expenses because if you let the profit run away too heavy, you pay taxes too heavy, right? That's why you see successful contractors driving lifted 3,500 Denali's, right? Because they get to the end of the year and they've made so much profit, they've got to dump it somewhere so they don't pay taxes. So you can either buy a $110,000 truck or you can give the feds $110,000 in taxes, right? Now it's the math obviously isn't that clean, okay? But I've had to have this conversation about 48 times with my wife where she's like, well, when is the company going to start making us more money? I'm like, hopefully no time soon, right? Because I'm on payroll. Like the more money I make, the more taxes we have to pay, right? And the more money the company makes, the more taxes it has to pay. So I'm trying to like mitigate profit. Like I'm trying to drive profits, but then use them to scale. Like, so I'm trying to get rid of the money as fast as I can and then pay myself as little as possible. If that makes any sort of sense at all, right? Like it all kind of sounds backwards, but that is the landscape that we live in. So once you get to a certain size, having the workers' comp, having the payroll taxes, all that stuff does become a good thing. But in the early days when you're trying to grow, like, dude, you need every penny, right, to grow. So that's why the 1099 thing in the beginning, to take that risk, I guess you could say, makes sense. And then that's why W-2, like I do W-2 for life for me. Like I'm never going back because it gets rid of some of the money into a deductible way and protects me.
See, I don't know how it is in Michigan. I think he's from. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't know how it is up there, but payroll companies in Florida, if you have a payroll company do everything, the workman's comp is included in there. So you don't have to have a separate workman's comp policy. So I've always felt a payroll company is good for smaller businesses with limited amount of employees, because it's all taken care of. You get into the bigger companies, you do get probably better pricing on workman's comp. That way, I don't know how many people you got working or that you're concerned about paying them, but
Workers' comp is just a percentage of your payroll.
yeah,
Like my workers' comp, like my CPA, sorry, no, not my CPA, my accountant takes care of the payroll. I just send him the hours and like whatever guys owed. He does the payroll, and then there's a separate company that then sees the payroll number and then takes out workers' comp. Generally speaking, on a payroll run, it's like between 120 and 160, kind of depending on how big the payroll run was. But it depends on how much money you pay out.
do you know what your percentage is in Louisiana for workman's comp?
No.
You know, I don't remember what it is in Florida anymore. It's changed quite a bit. I don't remember.
It's kind of one of those things where it does not keep me up at night that I don't know. I do wish I knew. Like there's a lot of things I wish I knew, and I'm not a control freak. I like numbers and I want to know, but it's kind of like it's out of my control. So I've just kind of like woo-saw and put it off because I know it doesn't, like, even if I did know, like I got a buddy that does know all that stuff, and his business is exponentially bigger than mine, and he knows all that shit. But like that's his wheelhouse, you know what I mean? I'm a people person. I'm not even though I'm good with numbers, I'm a people person. So I'm like, I'm gonna let the people take care of the stuff. I have my checks and balances that I do to make sure things are, on the up and up. But then I go, not let me go interview, let me go hire, let me go have a meeting, let me go make sure the guys are good, let me, work some bonuses. Like I'm gonna go take care of the people, because I know if I take care of the people, they'll take care of the business. The numbers will be the numbers, will be the numbers, will be the numbers.
Freddie, by the way, I put the picture in the chat you asked about. I went out and took a picture for you.
Okay.
All right, we got two hands up. So I don't know your name because you're called Zoom user. But
That's me.
yeah. So what's your name? What's your company? And then ask your question so we know who you are.
It's Brian. Company is Keep It Jumping. We're in San Diego.
What's up, Brian?
Oh, just sitting at my son's football practice, so I just have some time to burn.
Nice.
But my question was pretty competitive market, but I want to know how to, and I'm sorry if this question has already been asked, but I want to know how to get into schools. Schools are by far, here anyways, is by far the only space where you can have multiple inflatables. Most places, residential areas in San Diego aren't very big. And so I just want to know, how do you guys get into schools? How do you guys pitch them without sounding too salesy, but at the same time, try to close them in a respectable type of way? So yeah.
Schools, yeah. So schools is a gift and a curse. So I'm going to warn you. The reason I say that is because you'll start to get into busy season, and then all of a sudden you have a Monday event, 2 Tuesday events, 3 Wednesday events, a Thursday event, right? The whole business turns on its head. So just be prepared for that going in, because your weekend, and you chill out and clean everything, and then weekend and you chill out and clean everything. You get into schools, that it's just like 7, 8, 9, 10 days straight of madness. Okay. But the way that you get into schools, in my opinion, is 2 different ways. So number one, scale the business, right? You scale the business, you get the Google reviews, you have the great looking website, you have the backing of the community, the teachers will rent from you accidentally, right? And you do a great job, and they tell the principal or they tell the PTA lady or whatever, right? Just scale the business, and that stuff will start to come to you just naturally, all right? The other way you're going to go get schools is by getting schools. Just go get schools. The best way to do that, in my opinion, is kind of the Jana Thompson way. So she makes like a gift basket, and then in the gift basket, pencils, erasers, like all the school supplies that you would need, right? And then you put some flyers in it, like one flyer and a business card, like make it fancy, like spend your time, spend a whole day making this freaking flyer. And then you go drive up to the schools. In about 6 weeks, you walk into the office and you're like, hi, and you introduce yourself, inflatables, we got this, we got these games, da, 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 da. You give them the gift basket, right? It's a whole song and dance. But from there, and I am a good salesman, but I'm not a pushy salesman. So from there, it's kind of like, you gotta, in my opinion, kind of let it be, let it breathe. If you want to follow up with an email with the principal or whoever, I think that's a great idea, right? But in making the basket and showing up, you're probably literally the only inflatable owner they've ever met in their entire life. Okay. And you brought a gift basket and you're put together, like, you'll make a big impact. Is your conversion rate going to be 100%? Of course not. But like, just do that every single year. And eventually, right, you do it 2 years in a row. They're like, fuck, let's just use this guy. You know what I mean? And then once you start to get the school, once you start to get the churches, they kind of start to snowball, and it does get really fun. But just be forewarned what you're in for, because they're all weekday events and it makes your life totally different in a great way, but can be very stressful.
And then
Can I
a
add
go
to
along
that?
question. Sorry, go ahead. Whoever was talking.
Also, I don't know about different counties, but Palm Beach County, you have to be on their list, fully insured. And you have to, I'm in Palm Beach County, so Palm Beach County makes you do background check. You have to be on their list, and there's a fee that you have to pay. Ours, I think it's like 80 some dollars, but it lasts for 5 years, and you're on their list for 5 years. And then the Palm Beach County schools can only pick from them.
Yeah, I remember someone saying that, like, you include like fold up and put the waiver of subrogation, not the waiver of subrogation, that's the wrong thing. Like how to get them on the additional insured, like, and put that in their deck. Just fill this out, or maybe it was Steven that says he sends that to him, but like, let me just get you on as additional insured. That way, if you ever need anything, you're already covered. Like, you can go like aggressive with it, you know what I mean? But like, that's the way, like, it, right? Because, and I'm in Louisiana where it's like the Wild West. Like we rent to some churches that don't do anything, and we rent to some churches that, like, you have to jump through hoops. Same with schools. They make us do all this crazy stuff. And then the school my daughter goes to, like, we just show up, and like, they don't care. But you can kind of do that. Be like, hey, you know, in order to rent, I know you got to be listed as additional insured. So let's just put you on that list right away. That way, if you ever need anything, I'm one phone call away. Da, 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 da. Who runs it? Does the school run the events, or does the PTA run the events? Here it's 50-50. You know, you kind of got to do a little bit of legwork, not a ton.
If
Right.
you don't want, I'm pretty sure if you don't want to do the more aggressive approach Nick is talking about, which is probably the better way to go to the school personally and give a gift basket, all that kind of stuff. But I believe Event Hawk has a letter on their website for free for schools. You could, if you want to send out to 20, 30, 40 random schools. Obviously, it's not going to be as great as going in person and giving a gift basket type of thing. But if you want to take a softer approach, that is an option too. I think Event Hawk has a letter on their website.
That is what I did this year. And conversion rate was, you know, I want to say it's low, but really it was like probably 20%. I still have all the gift baskets ready to go. I just got too busy because we moved into a new warehouse. And so it's kind of like, this ain't happening this year. We'll just hang on to this stuff. And so I just put the letter and the flyer that I made, just stuck them in an envelope and sent them out. And there was one school out in Lacombe that we did land. And then they did like I think they did 4 events, and 2 of them were multiple units just from a letter. I just sent a letter, and like, whatever, I stuck a sticker in there or something.
But you could even go the route of sending a letter and then going in person.
Right.
Could I add one thing that I had? So this year, I wasn't really into targeting schools because my weekday availability is very fluid. I just don't have a ton of it, right? So But I happened to join our local chamber of commerce. It was only $300 for me to get with our chamber of commerce. I don't know if every state has it. I've never even heard of it until they actually reached out to me, but it was $300 for the year. And their role is to promote businesses out of our city. And ever since I joined that, I've gotten 5 church events. I've gotten 4 cities around me, and now I'm up to my 3rd school. And I would say 75% of those said, hey, you know, I saw you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, blah, 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 blah. And I'm the only local inflatable company in our Chamber of Commerce. So it makes it a little bit easier. I'm like kind of the one-stop shop, but it gives a little bit more legitimacy to my new business. This is my 1st year. So I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if everybody has it, but it worked out well for us. It was a good side effect of a decision.
Cool.
And then kind of like a follow-up, do you guys charge more for those type of big events? Like you charge $50 more per inflatable, $100 more per inflatable for the additional risk? Or do you just keep pricing the same?
Yeah, I don't. Whatever's on the website is what they pay, unless they want something special. But even if they're like, you know, if they're like, we need drop off at 8 and then pick up at 5, like that falls outside of our 6-hour thing. But I tell Cassie, I'm like, just do it for 6 hours. Like it's right. It's not like the more you can land them, like if you're, I just don't want to nickel and dime them. You know what I mean? Like where they're gonna be like, all right, next year let's shop around because this dude was doing this delivery thing and this blah 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 thing. It's like I just go straight up that way.
But Nick, you have to understand that all your competitors are nickel and diming. So putting like a setup fee or something like that would be okay.
In my opinion, no, but maybe you guys are different.
Yeah, I disagree too.
Not doing it. Not doing it.
I was doing schools, the majority of the schools in my county. Now we have quite a few other people in my county. One particular school I was on the board of directors for 10 years. The board of directors people of the school habitually rented from me. When my children graduated out of that school into high school, I noticed that my rentals started slowing down for the school. I don't get a call no more. Schools really go for the dollar. They go for the price. It's not so much the product. When it comes down to the very end, they're looking at, okay, we got a budget of $1,500. This guy came in at $2,200. This guy came in at $1,200. This guy came in at $1,800. $1,200 guy's going to get the job. I don't know how it is in California. I don't know how it is in Texas. I only know how it is in my town in Florida and what I hear in other people in Orlando and what I've heard from other people in Tampa. It's the same thing. Schools are considered nonprofit. They all cry the blue. They all say they don't have money, or they all want discounts. They all want 7 units that should be a total of $3,700 for $1,900. So schools are different everywhere. They could be different out in San Diego, where that guy was just talking from. I don't know his name. I didn't catch it. Schools are very tricky. Schools are tricky in West Palm Beach with Freddie. You know, they have a list. They have certain specific vendors. My county doesn't have that anymore. I know Tampa has that. Orlando doesn't have that anymore. They can call whoever they want to. So it really goes with the demographics of where you're at. You know, how your county handles the vendors that come into the schools. And then you got to look at the schools. Do not think you're the only person they're calling, because they're not. You're not. It's just not. They're calling to get the best price. They're calling to get the most stuff they can get for the least amount of money. Every school does that. I hear it from multiple people from multiple different states. Georgia, I hear, has been extremely difficult with schools lately. So, you know, I applaud you trying to get schools, but I think that, and I don't even see the guy's picture up here anymore. I think he's a Zoom user. I thought he was. he was from San Diego, whoever started the conversation. I applaud you for trying to do that, but I agree with Nick. Schools can be a pain in the ass, a big pain in the ass. You're taking a lot of your time up, you're taking a big chance, and you're not making as much money as you think you're going to make. So, just be careful with it. Everybody tries it. I'm not telling you not to do it whatsoever. But if you were to set 10 vendors up in a room and ask them, how did you do with schools? You won't get 10 people to give you positive results.
Oh yeah, I love them. Like I love the schools, but like I want to take over the world. So my my ambitions are not the same as everybody else's. Like I want all the events, I want all the things. We did a 4-slide event. I gave them a deep discount because it was a good client. They rented from somebody else every year from prior. They've always had 2 units and like 4 units, $1,000. Let's go. 4 18-foot slides. Let's go. Like, right. But I want that stress. I want all of that. If you don't, yeah, just be careful. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
That's exactly what I said.
Yep. All right, Dave, what you got? What you got?
Insurance related. Hopefully this isn't too far in the weeds, and if it is, then fair enough. Let me know. But so when I got my insurance quote, it was based off of my projected income. This is my first year. I was hoping to make 10 grand this year. Right now we're pacing to be 3.5, 4 times that. Is that something that I should update my insurance company on, that I'm making way more money than what I thought I was going to make?
Differing opinions there, but you should be good. Your quote from $1 up till roughly $40,000 to $50,000 is the same. Yeah, that's the same. So there's some people that like to get ahead of that and report that and like whatever, pay that audit fee early, blah 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 blah. Me, no, hell no. They take enough money from me anyway.
Right.
I'm not saying hide stuff from your insurance people, but like they need to know what they need to know. So like keep them in the know when they need to know it.
Yeah.
There's
I'll
a
Better off
blanket.
asking for forgiveness and asking for permission.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you.
You have a start off blanket policy with the majority of companies. My feeling is this: if you go to get an insurance quote from somebody and you're signing your life away on all the papers to fill out for that company, I would walk away from that company. I would go to another one. Like Nick said, the need to know basis is always the best. There's a blanket policy pretty much with every company up to between, I think it's 40,000 and 50,000. It doesn't matter if you have 1 unit, 2 units, or 10 units. There's a start off policy. It's no more back in the day where I remember my insurance used to be like $430 a year for the same coverage I have now that I'm paying like $5,000 a year for. It's insane. So, keep your income in the blanket policy range when you go to renew, when you go to apply. I don't want to know who you have, but insurance quotes are not the same that they used to be. So you probably have a pretty high quote right now, or a fairly high quote.
I actually feel, out of all the conversation I've heard, Mark, I am considerably lower than what I've heard new business startups this year be at.
Here's what I'll tell you. I got like 5 quotes just 3 months ago at this point. And all of them, I believe, gave me that number. So I would think in your initial paperwork you signed, that number is probably in there. If you go find it, I will tell you that I have OBD and I pay like $3,800 a year.
And
that covers me up to 115,000 in revenue.
you guys gotta give me who your your insurance people are, because I'm with Tony, man. He's freaking expensive.
I got OBD.
My
and
shit with Tony went
I think
down.
I think it's through Cincinnati Mutual, something. That's the actual provider of the insurance. My broker is Luke from OBD, and I paid $3,700. And they told me in my paperwork it even says 115,000 max revenue, and then the policy goes up after that.
Inbox their contact information
Yeah,
if
that's-
you don't mind when you get a chance.
Yeah, my audit just came through for my renew, and I'm in Louisiana. I'm like, I was low-key worried about it going to 15K or I'm getting canceled. And then I got it yesterday. I was standing in line somewhere. I don't remember where I was. Oh, I was at my CPA's. I had to go sign something or whatever. And like I saw it, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Like I gotta open this. And then yeah, my shit went down. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we picked up a new unit mid-season, and I'm like, I couldn't remember if I was supposed to report to them that I got a new unit. So I called the insurance company and said, "Hey, picked up a new unit, yada yada yada." And they're like, "I'm like, I don't." They told me that I didn't need to call them to tell them unless I thought I was going to dramatically increase my revenue. I'm like, in my mind when I was on the phone, I'm like, well, that's a relative statement. So no, I don't expect it to dramatically increase my revenue. But yeah, I was just like. So you're looking at them like, I don't want to get stuck with a big fat bill or something weird at the end of the year because I made triple what I projected when I put in my quote. But I'm definitely under that 40,000. If I got to the 40,000, I'd be ecstatic. But I don't think we'd be there for the first year. We'll probably be closer to the 30 mark.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a word to him.
Sweet. I like it. That's what I was hoping to get an answer for. That was my plan, anyways. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
And like I said, I got a lot of quotes, and there was actually, I'm trying to think of the other one. Was it Liberty or something maybe? But anyway, there was another one that basically gave me the same exact prices with the same exact provider. Actually, I just liked Luke better because it was very communicative, very easy to get a hold of, fast responder to emails, phone calls. The other company wasn't so good communication wise, so that's why I went with Luke and OVD. But I was like 115 grand. That'd take me years to get there.
That's a huge
That's
number.
actually very good. That's a very good price.
Yeah, like
Dave,
700 I think is higher than the norm, not by a ton, but that ceiling is incredible. Like that's because you'll get there too. Like that's. All right. Other questions? We can move on to some of my scripted ones. If you guys don't got nothing. Oh yeah, we're back. David, Zoom user. Shit, I forgot. What was your name again?
Brian.
Brian. Brian.
All right, so I've been fucking with this combo unit, and it's like, it's my first one, and I never can roll it just right the way I want to. The other ones I have are center, dual lanes, easy to roll. This one is from Easy. It's left side of the slide, or sorry, if you're looking at the bounce house, the slide's on the left. If I fold it in, it makes the roll terrible. If I start it at the pool and then fold it like that, it makes it look like a chode. So I'm just like figuring out how to roll this thing, and I've tried like every way, and it never rolls right. So I don't know if you guys have left hand slides or left slides, but
Is it what's the name of it?
the Blue Crush.
Okay, because I have a Purple Crush, so let me see if it's the same
That's
one.
from Easy, isn't it? No, that's from. What is your problem with it?
It never rolls right. Like I either roll it way too fat and chody, or I roll it like if I fold the slide in, the roll is terrible.
Dude, is it this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I roll this way different than my guys roll it. Most specifically Isaiah. Isaiah can roll this thing where it looks like a 13 by 13 bounce house. It's crazy how small he can roll it. They pull the slide like up onto the bounce house and do all this shit. I don't do that. I'm simple. So I fold this side in, whoop. I fold this side in, whoop. It folds the slide like in half lengthwise. It's kind of goofy. And then I roll from the pool and roll on in, and it's pretty good. Like it's pretty good. Isaiah does something, like I said, where after it's deflated, he flips this up on I tried that the other day with one of my guys. I don't know what the fuck we were doing because we were in the warehouse, but we folded up on top and then it came out terrible. Like you can't close it. It was bizarre. It was the most bizarre.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It doesn't make any sense on how to roll that thing. It just
Yeah, if you go watch, I have a super old video that's like how to roll a bounce house water slide combo or something like that. It's really old. Like I'm literally in my driveway shooting the video. I roll it just like that, and it, like I said, it comes out kind of goofy because that slides off to the side instead of in the middle. But the whole theory works just fine. Everything's just great.
so you fold it from the left to the middle, from the right to the middle, and then that creates like the slide being in half, and then you roll it like that
From the pool. You just start at the pool and roll. It does make it heavier on one side than the other, but you just make that the bottom.
Okay. All right.
But like I said, I'm simple with it. Like my guys, that we're gonna roll it like this. I'm like, dude, I just roll every single thing the same. Like I do every single water slide the exact same, and all my rolls turn out great. I do all the combos the exact same, and all the rolls turn out great. I'm not saying they're this big, you know what I mean? Like I'm some muscle man. Like they're always symmetrical, they're always small, they're always easy to move.
Cool.
All right, I got a question.
What up?
So, I'm a one-man show, so I don't have payroll. How do I pay myself?
Let's see.
Like right now, I'm
You're probably gonna pay yourself. If I'm thinking about this right, I think you're gonna pay yourself on a draw, which is you just write yourself checks, and then, from there you gotta talk. You gotta talk to me.
You encourage cash and put in your pocket.
Yeah,
well, that's what I'm doing now. But I have a crap load of money in the bank that I would love to go buy something.
Yeah, because you can't because you have no income.
I would imagine it's dependent on what type of corporation you have set up, right? Are you S corp, LLC, C corp?
LLC.
Like,
Yeah, so basically,
I mean, it's just
you can take a draw anytime you want, and it's like,
You're
I
gonna
don't
tell
know.
something sides. That's the only problem.
Yeah, Brian was like, "Hey, just take a draw anytime you want." I'm like, bro, I can't just write checks, cash-free checks to myself whenever I want. It's like, yeah, you can. Like, you're a good CPA, but no, I'm not. That sounds haphazard to me. Yeah, definitely talk to the CPA, Freddie. I don't actually know the answer to that. No. Actually, I think I do know the answer. As a single member LLC, whatever your business reports, you also report. So let's say your bounce house business makes $100,000, right? That you report to the IRS because that's what goes through your BCN site, not counting cash. So then you, Freddie, get taxed as a human being making $100,000 a year. And so if you don't prepay in taxes on $100,000 a year because you're an LLC, then you get a tax bill in April for whatever you would owe if you were an individual making $100,000, which is going to be $20K.
correct. That's what we are. We're a single member LLC, and it's considered a pass-through income. So it's all reported through your personal taxes. So you could use the money whenever you want to use the money.
Yeah, you can just take a draw. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can just go to Costco with your company debit card. It doesn't matter. The problem is, though, you get double taxed on it. I'm trying to think of why you get double taxed on it. You get income tax and you get income tax and you get what's the other tax that you get? The business tax, I think. Yeah, it's bad news. It's bad news being an LLC.
I think it's because you get taxed as an income tax, but it also doesn't lower your taxable income from your business. So again, you were talking earlier about buying a truck with your money. That's basically to lower your taxable income so that you owe less tax. That's why you buy the truck, to lower the taxable income. I believe, no accountant or CPA. But I believe it's because you get charged the income tax, but it doesn't lower your taxable income at the same time.
Yeah, you might be right. But yeah, as a LLC doing a significant amount of income, you get you get yourself in trouble. So that's why my old CPA switched me to S Corp. So, but as S Corp, I had to hire a payroll company because I have to go on legit payroll, workers' comp, all that. So like that all raises your expenses, but it protects me. So like
It lowers your taxable income. So that's the difference with the S corp is you're paying yourself in payroll. Well, that is a deduction from your income, the revenue in the business that'll lower your taxable income, which is why it's better to do it S corp wise.
Yep. Yeah. So I pay taxes every 2 weeks coming out of my check for FICA, right? All the other state, all that stuff. So it protects me. My tax liability is much, or I guess you could say, is mitigated throughout the year with every paycheck that I get.
Yeah, I'm in the process of interviewing CPAs right now. I've talked to 5. And in that conversation came up whether we were an LLC, S corp, what we were. I told them we were LLC, and they said generally the magic number for LLC to S corp transition would be around the $100,000 mark is where you would want to switch, where you'd have more tax advantages as an S corp. So I guess that's kind of dependent on what size revenue you're rolling.
Yeah, I think I remember a conversation back in the day with Amy. That was something like that.
You can also W-2 yourself too and go through a service like Gusto. I used to own a mortgage brokerage, and if you W-2 yourself, pay yourself a salary, that also is a tax deduction to your business, and you separate the entities. So you can do that as well. And Gusto is pretty darn cheap to have monthly. I think it's like the base plan is like $39 a month, and it's a full payroll service. You have to do it yourself, but it's it makes it worth it for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember what I pay Mark. It's like somewhere in the ballpark of 95 a month, I think. And he runs all the books for the jump off and the payroll for the jump off. Might be 125. Yeah, it is. It's 125 a month is what I pay Mark. And he does the books, right? The P&L sheet, all that good stuff in QuickBooks, and runs payroll. And that's been the best decision I ever made, because that just takes it all off your plate and you don't got to worry about it. You can go do whatever you want, right? Because Wayne, are you a LLC?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's called a draw. So the reason you can go take a draw anytime you want as an LLC is because whatever your LLC makes is what Wayne Hicks is taxed on. So if your LLC makes 100K this year, you're taxed on 100K like you work at a company and made 100K.
But you get double tax.
Yes, you are.
Where do they tax us twice? From the business and the personal income?
Right. So everything you do to pay yourself does not mitigate your tax. So like all of the payroll that comes to me via W-2 as an S corp reduces the amount of profit that the company makes, reduces the amount of taxes I got to pay. And then I pay my taxes, right, via the payroll, right, to the FICA and, all your regular shit. As an LLC, you don't have any of that. As an LLC, you don't have any of that. So you've got to pay taxes on what you earn, and then whatever you spend at Costco or at the movie theater or on gas does not reduce the amount of taxes you have to pay. It's like I'm a write-off to the jump off. Like I reduce the amount of profit for the jump off. You don't reduce the amount of profit for West Coast.
East Coast.
East Coast.
Gotcha. So that sucks.
Yeah. So make sure you got 20K in the bank for April. Last year, not this year, not this current year. Last year, my shit was $24,000.
With it being my first year, should I have to worry about paying a bunch of taxes at the end of the year?
Nope, just buy a lot of units.
How much are you gonna make?
Right now I'm at 37K.
My
No.
unit,
You
man.
have a job, like a job still?
Yeah, I work in a restaurant.
You're gonna want to talk to a CPA. I think
Yeah, I did like all the money I made, I put literally like right back into it.
Yeah, you're gonna probably end up being a wash.
You have receipts for everything you put back into it, you pretty much.
Yeah, I got all
not
the
gonna be
receipts and
paying
everything.
the full amount. But even at 20% of 30K, you're looking at $6,000 in taxes if you don't have write-offs. That's at 20%. Where are you located?
South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, you're probably still 26.75% too of every dollar. But you know, you probably don't have this, but you got to go to Home Depot to buy water hose washers for the water slide. You can write that off. You can write off the trip there. You got to get lunch. You can write that off because you're hungry.
Even food.
Stuff for work.
Yeah, you get I think 1 meal a day or something like that.
bro, I write off this because I got booze and biz.
Yeah, you can
Jump
You know,
off page for this.
literally if you needed to get tires during this year for the car, even though you're using your truck on other things, write it off. You can write it off.
Every
You'll be able to write off 0.75% or write off every single thing you possibly can.
yeah.
Last thing you want to do is get your tax lady to say to you, hey, I'm fixing to send it in, but you got to give me a check for $7,895. Yeah, you really don't want that. So any receipts you've got for anything, write it off. Anything you bought, turn it in. Equipment, turn it in.
Wait, how much you spend to get started?
What's
What's
that?
that?
How much you spend to get started?
I started with 4 units. I'd say I probably spent around 10K.
So 10K, probably plus another 5 or 10K between blowers,
And
stakes.
then I added
parts.
3 more units and a nice trailer and all that.
You're not going to owe anything.
All in
Yeah,
23.
you're not gonna owe taxes. You'll
Just
probably
look
get money.
You're
You
gonna
might
get a
money back.
refund. You're gonna get a refund.
Yeah.
So this is what happened to me. So I started the jump off, actually started the LLC in December of 2019.
Same. I started in December in 2022. That was my first month. And then, so basically this is my first year.
Yeah. So you're so close to the end of the year. When I told right. So then, and I'd quit my job. Right. And then in 2020, we started to see a good success. Right. So I told Michelle, right. And my wife owns a hair salon. Right. But I was always like a regular ass employee. So I said, listen, we've got to go get, like, we can't just go show up at TurboTax or whatever what's the fucking place? H&R Block. We can't just go like that. Those are behind us, right? We got to go get a CPA, like a real one. So we meet with this lady and we tell her the story and she's like, all good. And I'm like, tell her all this, all the stuff I spent, like I tell her my whole story, right? All the shit I bought in November. She's like, all that stuff. And then you started the LLC. It was like December 20th or something like that. She's like, you're so close to the end of the year. We're just rolling that into this year. We're not even taking that in 2019. We're going to take all the startup costs. Every dollar that you spent is going to go into 2020. Okay, so 2020 is the first real year that I'm really in business, right? I was dabbling in 19. Okay. And I did $85,000 that year. Okay. But as I had all the startup costs roll into 2020, and then I had all the costs that I incurred in 2020. We got like an $8,000 refund because we had so many write-offs and so many startup costs. And my wife's business, right, is just like hair business, right, is just laden with fucking write-offs. So I was like, oh my God, dude, we're like bulletproof. Like we can just, right. So I scale the business, right. And in 2021, we do, the jump off does 125,000. Okay. My wife's business does like, right, $500 more, whatever. All of a sudden I have a tax bill that was $24,000. And so I go to Amy, very angry, right? But like curious. And she's like, you're just too successful. Like, the fuck you mean too successful? You know what I mean? Like, I clued you in, like, sent her emails of what's going on and all this shit. And she basically was like, you're an LLC. So you, Nick, have to be taxed, making $125,000. And then your wife made $36,000. So you guys made $150,000 whatever dollars, and you guys paid nothing. And so then I had to go pay taxes on all of that because I didn't have startup costs and I didn't have all the other stuff. And so then that's where I started to do research. Like, okay, like that's where I made a post. This post is super old, but I was like a side hustler, and then I felt like a entrepreneur for about 20 minutes, and now I'm like,
Yeah, I seen that.
I'm a businessman, dude. Like, what happened? But then
That's why she got fired, I'm sure, right?
yeah, right.
She should have been telling you to pay quarterly, like.
Oh, she's fired. Oh, she's been fired. Like, I got a new accountant and a new CPA, two different dudes. Yeah, that's when I go start doing research on like what to do. And then when I hired my two new guys, I told them that same story. I'm like, I need your guidance as we grow, right? Because as much as I know about business, like hiring and shit, dude, I don't know anything about taxes as an entrepreneur. Like, this is my first go at it. And so they're protecting me now along the way to where everything's now on the up and up. But yeah, we changed everything to S corps. Like both my businesses are S corps, you know, to protect. I'm on payroll at both, like the deductions, the whole nine. Because I don't like, dude, you don't want a phone call in June that says you owe $24,000. It was the worst day. It was probably the worst day of my life.
Is there anything with like the card processors like Square, wherever you do a transaction, it automatically pulls out the so and so for taxes?
I don't know. The best thing you can do is just set up to where you have an account. I don't know how you could automate this. I'm sure you could, but you know, your main account that comes in, and then you go split it up. It's the what's that book? I hated that book, but it's a good idea though. Profit first, where you go and you say, I want to profit 10% this year. I want to profit 20% this year, whatever. You have an account that's set up. So then when people pay you via Square, you send 20% to the profit bucket. You set right account, checking account or savings account, and you send this much to the tax account. You send this much to the operations account, whatever. I already have my own system that works very well. So I did not that, but like in the early days, like 100%.
Wait, I would definitely suggest you get an accountant. In the end, if you're doing 37,000 your first year, you can afford an accountant. They're not crazy expensive, but you're talking about Square and the taxes coming. That's a sales tax that goes to the state. That's not including your federal tax. So it's pretty complicated, but you shouldn't owe any tax this year if you do everything right, because literally everything you've spent money on, including mileage when you're driving to drop-offs, including everything you do, is a write-off for you. So you've probably spent, you should definitely lose money this year if you do everything right. But I would get an accountant because that'll help you tremendously and probably save you $10,000 at least.
and set you up for next year when you don't have the startup costs, and
Right.
you know, you'll probably triple next year, right? You'll probably triple next year what you did this year because you know what the fuck you're doing. Yeah.
Right, because sales tax you have to pay to the state, I believe, quarterly, and then you should pay estimated tax to the federal government quarterly, prepay basically, so you don't get a huge tax bill at the end of the year.
Yep. But yeah, it comes down to get the, you know what I mean? If you're getting sued, you get a lawyer. If you're getting taxed, you get a CPA. And what's cool too about a CPA and or an accountant is they're not a lawyer. Like paid out, right? They get paid to do your taxes, but then they're always there for you. So depending on the one, I always try to hire ones I can text. Like I want to let them know, like, dude, I don't like to talk on the phone. I like to text. Can I text you? If they're like, we only do business. That was my main mistake with the first one that we hired, is the only way you could get a hold of her was email or the phone at her desk. and it was a mess because that's not the way I operate. So we were already like disconnect from go. My guys now, like Mark, I didn't even talk to Mark on the phone. I only text with Mark. And then Brian will call me like if he needs something urgently, but generally speaking, he just texts me. So I can always text them my questions.
You got to stop telling people I'm your accountant.
Different Mark, local Mark. My first name is Mark too. We're brothers. All right. Any other last minute questions? If not, I'm going to end this puppy because my kids start school tomorrow. And believe it or not, nobody's going to believe this, but my wife flies to Vegas for a girls' trip tomorrow. Again, plan.
My first job was Journeys, by the way.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Dude, it'll set
I
you up.
was terrible at it.
Your real name is Mark?
Yeah, my first name's Mark. I go by my middle name, Nicholas.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
I'm gonna start calling you Mark.
You can. The doctor's
Yeah,
calling me
until
Mark.
your beard comes back, I'll call you Mark.
That's cap, Nick.
Yeah, the doctors call me Mark. The cops call me Mark. Right? They pull me over. You know, I pull you over, Mark.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and probably sign off before you do, but I'm glad you came back and got a show this week. I'm glad you stayed in touch with me during your time. Probably a lot of people have no clue what you've been going through, and I just think that you coming back and doing the best you can and handling the things that you did is amazing. So I think this was a good night to come back and just talk about random things. I think everybody kind of picked up on a few little hints here and there, and I appreciate it. I appreciate all y'all for participating, and I just I think that a lot of times when we all have talks like this, we all speak in reality, and we talk about how things actually are happening with us and how we can deal with certain things. You know, so I appreciate how people come out and speak. And the guy sitting in the truck right there, you should be at your son's football game. What the hell are you sitting in your truck for? Get to the football game.
It ends at 8 o'clock.
You know,
It's practice, not a game.
right.
It's practice.
It's like
You talking about practice?
It's
11
practice.
o'clock. I'm ready to go to bed, and you're sitting in sunlight out there. That's not fair. What the hell's going on with that?
Well, it's like in San Diego, sorry.
But no, I appreciate the show. Everybody that participated and brought comments in is amazing. You know, I was looking at some of the Facebook things that was being said. So, you know, that was good. It was really good. I appreciate everything. I got 5 rescue dogs to take out for the night. I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Mark.
Last question for you, Nick.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I need to know how much you need to start Christmas lights. I need to know because I've been looking everywhere.
You're gonna make me
and
open
I
it.
think coming up with the range. If I'm looking at like, go ahead, I'll let you take it, but just like it's gonna be real quick.
$0.
50,000.
What's that?
Zero.
Just putting up other people's lights.
No. You put up your ads, right? So you might need whatever, call it $100, right? You're going to put up ads. Then you're going to sell your first job, right? You're going to get your first quote. You're going to go out there. You're going to sell it. It's going to be rich people, right? So it'll be big. They always are. And then they're like, all right, cool. We're in. $2,300. You have the whole spiel. We're in. You're like, cool. We take 50% deposits. Okay. And then you're going to get 50% of 2,300. And there you go. Boom. Then you're going to go to my new company, my new website, Let's Get Lit Supply. And you're going to use that 50% deposit and you're going to buy materials for that house. The materials for that house will do another 2 to 3 more houses. And then you just repeat that. once you get to a point, and it probably won't, it depends on how aggressive you are your first year, but you probably won't your first year ever get to this point. But once you get to a point where you have enough materials like comfortably, bring your deposit down. Like you don't need to do 50, like I don't do 50% anymore. I think we do 20 or 30. I don't remember. I think we do 30, but you bring it down because you don't need I don't need the capital up front anymore. But you just go buy the materials with the deposits. Okay. Now, here is the catch to that. The materials, the later in the year you get more expensive, right? So I think we're gonna have like the bulb is always kind of like the litmus test of the pricing, right? But I think we're gonna have bulbs when we launch, hopefully next week. I think we're gonna have them 75 cents a pop, something like that, 74. They will go eventually to $1.05, like that deep into November, like probably mid-November. They go to $1.05 a bulb, right? So people start to freak out. Well, my overhead's going to go sky high because the materials. What you have to remember is you're going to go take these lights down and put them in a bin and then put them in your warehouse or a storage unit or wherever you keep, or your garage, who cares? You're going to put them somewhere. Next year, you're going to go put the exact same lights on the house for the exact same price. So there's no overhead next year. Okay. Now I do a 10% discount because it looks good on the invoice and kind of helps keep people coming back, right? They're not going to go shop around next year if you're already automatically 10% lower, but you can do whatever you want. Okay. You're going to go put the same lights on the house next year. Okay. Then you're going to take them down, bin, storage, then boom, year 3 again, no cost, right? So the difference in price going up 25% year 1 is not 25%. It's 25% over the course of the contract, which I mean, I've got my oldest ones are from 2020, so they'll be going on year 4, right? Same lights, dude, same freaking lights. So like you don't at year 1, you don't have to worry about the overhead. Now, year 2, you have a good, for instance, about how many houses you're going to do, whatever. So what we'll do in January or February is we'll have like a pre-sale. So basically what you can do is put your order in with us, and then we're going to put our order in with the distributor, right? AKA China. So you just put your order in with us, and then we can just get it for you at like 62 cents a bulb, 65 cents a bulb from China, right? And then your order will not be here till June and and you can really, really, really lower your overhead going forward as you scale. But you're going to do like 15 houses year 1, so the price doesn't matter. Now, if you have $5,000 to $10,000 just lying around, hell yeah, let's get your lights bought next week. We'll save you on the overhead. Like overhead's overhead, right? But it's just not a stress level in the Christmas light industry. You can just literally start with $0. Like you don't even buy your ladder until you're ready to start, and you've already taken 3 deposits.
So
And
you're
is there like a
2300
CRM? Is there like a CRM that you use to measure and set and keep everything organized, or is there no such thing for Christmas lights installs for a CRM?
Yeah, Jobber.
Jobber, okay.
Yeah, JOBBER. If you want, I can get you 2 months free. If you use my link, you get 2 months free. The best way to use Jobber for the Christmas light industry, unfortunately, is the top plan. Like the top plan. I don't know what to do after Christmas, right? Because I refer a lot of people. So you get 2 months free. I also get 2 months free. I've never paid for Jobber because I refer a lot of people. When I initially got my Jobber account with them, I asked them if I'm like, dude, once I get to like February, like, can I just go to the cheapest plan and not lose all my contacts? And the chick was kind of wishy-washy on it. And I was like, listen, I'm busy, so I'll just call you guys in February if I need to. And then I've referred enough people where mine has stayed free. But it is right. It's pricey, but it's not. It's like it's $300 a month, right? But
Holy shit.
but you gotta think though. My Christmas light business did $220,000 in 6 weeks last year.
That's true, but $300 for a CRM per month, That's atrocious. That's great. So what does it do that other ones can't do?
It does everything.
It measures and everything like on Google Earth.
Like, so I have it all. I went in there and set up. No. You have to do that yourself. And then I have a spreadsheet that Cassie puts all of the measurements into that calculates that. And that's easy. That I have that readily available to download somewhere. I don't remember because it's not Christmas light season, but and then once she builds the bid, it goes into Jobber, and in Jobber, like we have them I used to say like pre-coded. Like, so it's like roof line, and then like the whole sales pitch of roof line, and she just clicks roof line and then puts that it's $1,200. Bushes, and then she puts that it's $800, right? And it says like bushes, blue lines, garden bed outline, red lines, $550. Like all she has to do is click $550, click $820, click, right? And then that's all in the spreadsheet that I built.
Okay.
What does that price include? Like you said, $2,300. Are they paying $2,300 every year?
Yeah.
Why am I doing bounce houses?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because you need something to do in August.
Come and do all.
Christmas season's really short.
Not if you're making $200 and some $1,000 in 6 weeks.
Right.
I'm not working at all.
But so if you do 50K year one, right? It's good year one. Next year, you're going to do 50K in reinstalls. And then you'll sell 50K in new installs. And the next year, you're going to do 100K. And this is not if you're not trying very hard, right? Because you should do 50K in installs next year, 50K in reinstalls, and 100K in new installs. Then 150 and 300, right? But if you're not trying, you just do 50K more every year, right? And you're gonna have reinstalls fall off the back end. Like we probably had 15-ish clients last year not reinstall, but all those lights are bought. Like that's just material you can just put right back in, to where when you go do a new install, there's zero overhead on that new install. So the reinstall, so to speak, kind of still stays intact, even though it does take your guys long.
Labor wise, intensity wise, compared to bounce houses, is it easier?
In the short term, yes, right? Because a bounce house is like 45 minutes of intense work, and then you're back in the truck. With the Christmas light business, it's like 3 hours of pretty rough work, but not terrible. Like, you're up and down a ladder, you're standing on a crooked roof, which doesn't sound hard, but like you wake up the next day, like your hips are sore. Like it's 8 straight hours of that. And then tomorrow it's 8 straight hours of that. And then tomorrow it's 8 straight hours of that. Right. And we work 7 days a week because it's 6 weeks long. So it's like 6 straight weeks of 8 hours a day, up and down a ladder and on a crooked roof. And so it's overall way more grueling.
Yeah, never mind. I'm not doing that. I'm too fat to stand on a roof.
When do you start taking deposits? Like,
so I already have my ads up. We have 3 bids out now already. One of them wanted to meet me in person, and I couldn't because my July was so crazy. And so I texted her today, and she's like, "We went a different route." Like, so we missed out on that one. But we have one out in New Orleans, one out in Baton Rouge. Both those went out yesterday. And then we have another one that was out in somewhere really close to me. That was sent out a couple of days, like while I was on vacation. Like we're already going. Yeah, we're already going.
That's why I figured watch what you're doing. And it's all just Google ads that you're doing, and you're not doing anything else for the Christmas lights?
Facebook ads do really well. They're just harder to do. So as of right now, I just have Google ads up because that was super quick and easy to do. I literally just text Event Hawk. I'm like, put my Christmas light shit back up, and they did it. With Facebook ads, we need to get our Facebook ads up pretty soon. I'm not in like some crazy rush, right? It's freaking beginning of August. But sooner the better that you get your ads up, because you pay per click, so it doesn't matter. You're not spending very much money right now on ads because not that many people are clicking. But what'll happen though is you'll get to peak season, which is peak season's like right after Thanksgiving. It's just insanity. And there's people that they can't get Christmas lights. Like they just can't get them. Right? Their house is too big and everybody's too busy, whatever. So those are the people that are like out shopping right now. Like that wife had to go without Christmas lights, right? The reason this industry exists is because the houses have gotten so big because people have gotten so wealthy. Like the husband can't hang Christmas lights on this house because it's so big and so complex and so high and so tall and so nasty, right? And so then that wife last year had to go without Christmas lights because she contacted when she wanted Christmas lights, which was December 2nd, and it couldn't be fit in. So now she's got PTSD. That's who's contacting us right now, currently.
That's funny.
It's what's nutty is how, like, and I grew up in retail, right? So like I knew that Christmas lights was like a big deal. Or I'm sorry, I knew that a Christmas was a big deal. Because like I'd watch people like come in and throw elbows for like Ugg boots and shit. I'm like, this is crazy. Then I started hanging Christmas lights. I'm like, dude, people will go to no end for like a beautiful Christmas. Be like, the people will be like, we're trusting our Christmas to you this year. So if you don't come through, Christmas will be ruined. Like, I'm not joking, dude.
So like, have you ever, because normal Christmas lights, you can't, if a string is too long or too short, you can clearly see that on a house. Are
Right.
commercial lights different? Like, can you disconnect it some places?
Yeah, so it's like I don't have a one around here. Like, but think of like the cord of your alarm clock or the cord of your lamp.
Yeah.
That's called SPT1. So the cord that we run is that exact cord, but it has sockets on it. So we can just cut it wherever we want. Like, just think about like unplugging your lamp and cutting it. And then we have female plugs that you can just put on the end. And that ends the run. So when you get to the end of the house, like the end of the gutter, like you just cut it and
With
put
scissors?
Yeah, well, pliers, but yeah.
I would
Wow.
prefer a samurai sword.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
So you literally just cut the wire right there and it's done. And so do you like what? So you ruin a set of lights, right? Or no?
They come in 1,000-foot spools.
Okay.
So it's a 1,000-foot spool of sockets.
Okay.
So basically what we'll do is so last year, no, not last year, it was the year before. We were pretty busy, but I couldn't hire enough like lead guys, like lead installers. So I had 2 crews that could handle like the smaller houses. I'd send them out to do the smaller houses. And then I would roll with 2 helpers in my truck and I'd go do the big stuff. Right. And so I'd get on site and you know what color you're going to run when you get there, right? It's almost always going to be freaking warm white, but it might be, white, red, green, whatever. So you get on site and you go, okay, here we go. I can see right here, we're going to be on gutters. So you guys get started. So what they do is they spool out a whole like big zigzag of sockets. One guy will go drop clips at every socket and one guy will go drop bulbs at every socket, right? Whatever colored bulbs it needs to be. All warm whites, white, red, green, doesn't matter. They start putting it together. Okay, so they screw in the bulb and the clip. And I wish I had some here so I could show you. If I could show you, this would make way more sense. But they start building the line, right? So they start bulbs and clips. As they're doing that, I have a notebook in my tool bag, okay, and a tape measure. I go and start measuring the house and I'm taking notes, right? And I'm noting how many inches. This one's 118. This line is 212 inches, whatever. Okay. Then I get back down. Let's see, how do I explain this? So the socket wire between each bulb is 15 inches. Okay. So you just do I'm gonna mess this math up, but there's math that you just do real quick in the calculator on your phone and tells you how many bulbs. So then you just yell to the guys, be like, all right, I need 13 bulbs on the gutter, 13 bulbs on the gutter this way, 26 bulbs on the gable, right? On the like this and the shingles. And they start cutting it. And then you can go start, they're cutting, boom, 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 boom. Or they might not cut. It might go gutter to gable. So they might put the gutter clips, 13 gutter clips, and they'll put 26 gable clips. And then it goes back to gutter on this side. And so you're telling them via math, this many bulbs goes, and they're building that. That's what they're building.
So you don't really know what you're doing until you really get there, essentially.
Right.
Like
Everything's on site. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
And you don't know where the plug is. But that's first thing. Really, what I do is like, I'm like, all right, you guys go get some lines spooled out. Like, you guys get ready to go. Like, there's gutter there. So start doing gutter clips. And I go find power and figure out how I'm going to run the power cord, which we make custom to, but same line, SPT1. And I figure out how we're going to run the power, like, and then where the plug's going to be. And then the powers, this is hard to explain again, but like the power comes up and then let's say it's in the middle, right? Like the best place to plug in is at the porch. And then you got to you got to get powers going this way from the porch, right? So you figure out the plug situation and then you run that power. I generally speaking will run that power cord, get it plugged in, because it's better to run the lights hot so you know if they turn on. Yeah, it's an artwork, dude.
And so you have to hide that extension cord too, huh?
Yes, don't go crazy on that. I used to go crazy on that, and I was like a wizard, bro, a wizard with hiding cords. And we install, 2 years later, and Ashley Scariano is calling me like, I can see cords everywhere. Like, this is so sloppy. I'm like, yeah, and I had to go back to Ashley's house and do it all myself because like I did too good of a job the first year.
Oh shit.
Put it under the freaking doormat, bro. Just run it up under the doormat. Everybody will be happy. But I ran hers like through the brick up the wall and then tucked into the siding. I did all sorts of shit because it was my first year really doing it. And I was like way too proud. And yeah.
That's wild. That's a crazy business.
But it's I mean, dude, every single, like, I'm not joking. Like, I'll have a jump off meeting in April, and like one of the guys will raise their hand and be like, "Hey, I just wanted to real quick talk about Christmas light season. Like this year, how big we think we're gonna go." And the whole meeting derails because everybody only talks about Christmas light season
because it's fun, right? I mean, it sounds.
Oh, they're obsessed with it. They're obsessed.
Why? It's like how good it looks afterwards, or what?
Yeah, like the payoff is incredible. Building the whole system. It's kind of like the Rubik's Cube, like where the algorithm of the Rubik's Cube, but it never gets old solving the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Like you get there. Yeah. And then the first time you ever do one of your big houses, right? So you do the roof line, like the gables and the gutters or whatever, and then you run up the back of the roof, right? Like, so these are called hips, right?
Mm-hmm.
And across the top of the roof, like the top of the roof is called the ridges, right? So the first job you do where you do hips and ridges, that's like, people do the Rubik's Cube that's like 3x3. That's like the Rubik's Cube's like 9x9.
Yeah.
Very complicated to figure out. Last year, one of our first jobs, it was November 1st. She was like, I want November 1st. And we had to wrap like 6 trees, I think, little holly trees. We did groundwork in green and we did jump 2 sidewalks. And then we did the whole house. And they had 2 dormer windows and the whole house, hips and ridges and everything. And that was Trevor's first time doing it. And like in the middle, he's like, dude, I don't understand how you're wiring this. Like this one goes, I was like, no. Like, and I know what I'm doing. I'm like, no, this section goes down to this gutter. This section goes to this gutter. We're taking power off this one. And then we get done. And he's like, now I get it, dude. Like, how to jump off of everything. I'm like, dude, it's one of those things. Like, you can't learn to drive a trailer until you drive a trailer. You can't learn to do Christmas lights, dude, until you go do Christmas lights.
Yeah. Wow.
Turn that house on, and it's just like,
Oh, I bet.
and 2 bulbs are out at the top, and you're like, motherfucker, you were screwing the bulbs. You said they were on.
Yep. Oh shit, that would piss me off so much.
No, it
And then
happens.
what happens if you can't get on the roof? Like what happens if it's all like hips and like there's no good place to set up a ladder to get up on the roof?
You find one.
Okay.
Yeah, you find one.
And you just send it.
Find it.
Yeah, pretty much. We have 2 of them. They're called a goat hook. It's a hook that goes over, like, so if the gable of the roof is like this, it goes over, like, not the front where you're gonna hang Christmas lights, but back here. It's a hook that goes over like this, and then it's an aluminum pole that will come down the roof and has handles and footholds all the way down. And so you can put that up to the edge of the roof, and then you can use the goat hook to go up and clip the lights.
And all it is, that seems sketchy.
No, the goat hook is surprisingly, like, stable, like it's very comforting. But we, like, our guys, so in the South, for whatever reason, the pitch of all the roofs is insane, especially where we live. And like, we just go in sneakers and hold the side of the roof and clip on the way up. Like, we definitely shouldn't do that. We definitely have harnesses and we tie off, right? We're tied off safely. But we just go up the side of the roof and clip. And then I'll go to the Facebook groups, and the guys are like, goat hook came through in a clutch today. And I'm like, oh my God, bro, I wouldn't even bend down. Like that pitch is so pussy. But like, but next year the guys are going to be like mandated to use the goat hook, because it's kind of like the company's to a point now where it's like, it was fun to be cowboys and like rugged and everything, but like, we're too big. We're too big now. Like, you're gonna have to, the guys are gonna have to wear harnesses and tie off to the goat hook on certain houses. Use the goat hook regardless. I don't give a fuck. Like, they make hourly. They're all gonna complain. I'm like, you guys make hourly. Shut up. Nobody can do it for me. But like, you just, dude, one slip can be death.
I saw that house that you did, that you needed that scissor lift. That looked insane.
We did one that was it warm white, or was it like a multicolor one?
Oh no, it was like a white house with a black type of roof that had huge arches.
Yeah. Out in Slidell.
How much did you make that?
Oh, I don't even remember. That was like I want to say it was like 4,600, something like that. I don't remember. The boys are supposed to do that. Like, so on the pictures, like, that's the funny thing about this business, right? So the picture comes through, and Cassie only sends the houses to me for approval that are like kind of extravagant, right? And so that one comes to me, like, yeah, everything looks good. Like, I don't remember she must have got it right, because I don't remember the conversation. And so then Trevor and Logan were supposed to do that when we were in IAPA. And it was like the day before IAPA started. So like, my wife and I were like in the convention center, like walking around while everybody was setting up their booths or whatever. And they call me, and Trevor calls me. He's like, bro, no fucking shot. I'm like, dude, don't be a pussy. Like, it's not that sweet. And so then he goes, hold on, and switches to FaceTime and like does a profile view. I'm like, that might be the steepest roof I've ever seen. So I was like, you guys do just do the gutters. Just do the gutters, the stuff you can do all the groundwork, the flower beds, the driveway or whatever, and then just get out of there. Let the lady know we're gonna come back. And then we rented a lift, And on the front of the driveway, like that faces the street, like it's, whatever. It's so steep. We had to use the lift to do the entire, both hips all the way up. And then I got on the ridge and was running the ridge. And then to go do the other hips, like all the guy, like especially Trevor and Logan are like, they're badasses up on the roof. It started raining when we were there. And so I'm 3 stories up because it's a 3-story house, and I'm on the top of the house, and it starts raining. And they're like, well, what are we gonna do? I'm like, pass me the pitch hopper, dude. There's nothing fucking to do. Like, we're 45 minutes away. We got the lift for one day. Like, the shit's getting fucking done today. So just y'all stand back and watch. And I ran the rest of the fucking roof in the rain in my fucking extra tough boots with a pitch hopper and got down, and they were like, bro, like, we thought you were badass. Now we think you're fucking crazy. That was the craziest ever anybody do ever. I'm like, bro,
Got you.
the show must go on. Like, it has, like, I had to.
Yeah. Well, cool, dude. I'll probably link up with you. I'll probably catch another one of these. I gotta pick up my son now. Looks like practice is over. So appreciate you, dude.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna head over to bed. My kids start school tomorrow, so I got to be up at freaking 5:45 tomorrow to get my little man on the bus day 1. So I'm gonna head out. You guys are
Yep. Good night.
amazing. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it so much. Everybody have a great night, and we will see you next Wednesday. I've got no more vacations, I promise.
Yeah.
All right, later.